All right, there you go. No countdown today. Just we go live. Welcome in. Hi, folks. Pugs Moran here live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the beautiful south side of Chicago on what I am proclaiming the first official workday of summer 2026. Yesterday, Memorial Day, first official day of summer. Chicago, greatest summer city in all the land. We know this. Anyway, I'm not going to fight you. I'll die on that hill, but I'm not going to fight you right now. There is no better weather than perfect Chicago weather in the summertime. I'm just saying. We don't have the humidity that you have other places. We don't have the heat, the excessive heat. All right, don't normalize 100-degree temperatures, folks. Normalizing 100-degree temperatures only gets you sunburnt and a crazy air conditioning bill. Anyway, it's beautiful weather, and if you haven't noticed, that's kind of affecting my spirit. I'm in a really good mood. I hope you are as well. Let's see. What are we going to get into today? We're going to get, okay, first, we'll start out with all the top stories. We do that every day. I'm no expert, right? If you want to know real complex breakdowns of what's happening in negotiations between the United States and Iran, go somewhere else. All I'm going to tell you is what the current price of gas is at 95th Street and Roberts Road. That's what I'll tell you. Nah, we'll get into a little bit. It's been a crazy weekend. White House shooting over the weekend. Talk about that. Enhanced games. You better believe that I want to talk about the enhanced games. That's the Roid Olympics. The Roid Olympics were held over the weekend. I watched them, and I'm not even sure. I'm just gonna say they were in Las Vegas. I didn't watch them all, and obviously not that closely, but I imagine they were in Las Vegas. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also, we'll just hang out in the chat room. So if you guys, whatever's happening with your lives, bring that to the chat room. I can, always make a little bit of room to mix it up with you guys on that stuff. Speaking of our chat room here every day for the last 5 years, we've been hanging out and just mixing it up like decent, normal people. I don't have one of these chat rooms that goes goals, life goals. That's a life goal. But right now, while we don't have the chat room that goes, let's just take advantage of the fact that we can have real serious conversations with people with different worldviews, different ideas. We don't have any problems in the chat room, and that's because of the kings of the chat room. Now, every day I like to appreciate those people who are the kings of the chat room. Those are the folks that are here every single day. And sometimes, they'll find themselves on the podium. Let's do the podium for today's chat room. Just like in Formula One racing, we reward the first, the second, and the third person into the chat room on any given day. Today, look at her. It's Taronda, ladies and gentlemen. First place, taking the first swig of the big comically sized bottle of champagne. Taronda is number one. Like for a second, I forgot how to drink coffee. Did you guys see that? I looked at my coffee and I was like, wait, where's the hole? Got to open the hole. And April is second. It's Taronda and April and Jen. Look at that. Oh, boy. We got Pugsley's Angels in the chat room. Let's just call it that. All right. We're also going to talk to Maddie today. We haven't talked to her in a couple of days. She's all mad about stuff. We're just going to have her on, and she's not mad. She's not a mad person. Not an angry. Well, I don't know. I was going to say, is she an angry person? I don't know. She's liberal. She's a Southern liberal lady, and she wants to represent that side. And so there we go. We're going to have that. Well, Pogs, why don't you have someone represent? Oh, shut up. Why? Because there's a thing called Fox News and every other news channel that represents the other side. I can hear, but we can hear plenty of the other side everywhere. Now, I know you've gaslit everybody over the years into making people think it's a liberal media, and I don't wholly disagree with that. The media, the liberal part of the media, comes in the fucking Law and Order episodes that decide that they're going to preach to you. But you've kind of blurred that into making people think when you say liberal media, you're talking about the news, which just isn't the case. Not since Roger Ailes built the empire that is right-leaning Fox News. Would you stop it? Yes, Hollywood is pretty damn liberal. They've been very teachy-preachy, and none of us appreciate that. But the news has been really right. So Maddie comes on. So Maddie's going to come on, and Maddie's just going to, she's going to give her side of things. And we're going to be forced to look at things from a crazy liberal lady's point of view. I'm kidding. Maddie's part of this because Maddie, let me just talk to you about Maddie for a second. Maddie has helped me in incredible ways, inspiratu, if you will. She went into the pits of hell first, and by that what I mean is she got herself a blue check on Twitter. That's right. The blue check of shame that I'm now wearing, and not proudly, but pretty much happily. I guess I'm wearing it happily. You guys, Maddie's like, Pug, seriously, let me try it. I'll try it for a couple of weeks. I'll let you know if it works. And then she starts sharing her analytics with me. And she hasn't been doing a show like I have for 5 years, getting absolutely no traction, no nothing. So I decided, what the hell? I told you the story. It was either, I run to the Kismet and I get myself a gyro sandwich, or I, just pay the $4 because Elon's offering me 50% off for 2 months. Why not? My fat ass doesn't need a hero. So I got the blue check. It's been about a week and a half now with the blue check, with the new traction, it is insane, you guys. Twitter is a whole different world. The way it used to be really awful, and all I got was just like, triggered by jerk-offs left and right. And I'm like, why when I say something important, does it get no traction? It really is a difference. It's crazy. I've got like 200. I had like 1,500 followers for 9 years. I'm going to cry the 500. I'm going to cross over 2,000. I'm about to cross over 2,000 in like 10 days. Jeez. I've had three pieces of content that I have put up that have gone viral. And by that, what you mean is, the old school, do you know what the original definition of something going viral was? And it was created by the people behind YouTube. In the eyes of early YouTube, something going viral was anything that got more than 300 views. Think about that. I don't know what's considered viral now, but I had 3 different posts over the weekend that were forwarded hundreds and hundreds of times with thousands and thousands of likes. I can't believe it. I can't fucking believe it. Excuse my language, but you know what? The F word is sometimes appropriate, and that may just be one of those times. My God. It's like a whole nother world. Do you know that I've got people who I have known for 30 years who have never followed me on Twitter, never even knew I existed, never engaged with me. And now suddenly they're all like, oh, are you new on here? I'm like, no, it's been 9 years, but I just recently started paying the world's richest man for a bad business deal, and now we're friends again. It's incredible. It's incredible how throttled I was when it was, non-blue check. So, look, he's still evil, and, a man can have principles and all of that stuff, but a man also must be good at playing the game. And this is the game right now. So we move on. So anyway, yeah, Twitter's been crazy. Here, look at this. Let me see if I can show you this. Not that this is of interest to anybody. You know what? It's not. It's not of interest to anybody. So never mind. It's me. It's just me babbling about my recent Twitter success. I'll tell you something that I have noticed though. And this might be of use to some of you. Maddie and I have been talking about this in different strategies and different paths to sort of get traction on social media. We've been talking about how to do it. She is doing one way and I am doing another, which is also very good that we're colluding because we're able to now see, what is working and what isn't. Anyway, her path is the political path. She is going very decidedly. Well, it's Maddie. She's a liberal lady. She's going very decidedly, for the blue in all of that. My path has been more no, because what do I always complain about? I always complain about how there is no local conversation anymore. There is no local radio stations. Here in Chicago, we used to have WOLS and WGN, 2 of the greatest talk stations in America. And now they're unlistenable. WLS is a political station now. And, so there's that. And everybody on that Remember, if you're going to talk politics in America on talk radio, it's going to come from Washington, D.C. over a satellite. It's not going to be a guy who was actually in your city council meeting this week talking about things that actually affect your day-to-day life. No, it's going to be propaganda coming from Sean Hannity in New York or somebody from... That's what political... And that's what WLS is now. It's just awful. It's just like, Jesus, man. But there's no... Okay, fine. You want to be a conservative talk station. There's not like a dude locally that you can hire to sit there who lives in Downers Grove who can talk about politics in Chicago. No, so WGN is just, a whole nother thing. It's just not interesting. It's just weird. Anyway, I believe that a lot of the problems that we have in this country, the divisiveness, is because we're being ginned up by satellite forces from Washington and New York. That's it. We're getting ginned up by outsiders who are telling us what we need to be pissed off about, and we're completely avoiding the shit that's happening in our own backyard. So because that's always kind of been my view of where media is, the fragility of this. Look, people are like, oh, this is how media is now. It's all digital. It's all YouTube. It's all social media. We are in the infancy. We don't know what this is going to be. People are trying all kinds of different things. It is television in 1949. Think about 1949 when TV came in. Yeah, they knew it was going to stay, just as we know that this means of distribution, digital, YouTube, do it yourself, that's not going away. That's going to stay. They knew TV was going to stay in 1949, but TV had the freedom to do absolutely everything and anything that it wanted. Didn't matter. It could make all the mistakes and it could figure out what works. And that's what's happening right now. In the early stages, because of the political climate that we live in the early days of digital do-it-yourself, politics became a big thing. Divisive politics. The people who rose to the top were, the right-wing MAGA enthusiast populist podcasters. But I can't believe that that's all this medium is ever going to offer. I mean, it has got to sort of find other ways to reach people, because we can't just have constant one-party propaganda being the narrative of the land. So I've always believed that local talk or local content needs to come back. So my Twitter, since I've gone blue, my Twitter is targeting specific people, hyper demographics, psychographics. My buddy Lee Abrams. My buddy Lee Abrams, he created a thing back in the 70s that was sort of an extension to, but a real more specific and I think better version of radio demographics, which had always been. Radio demographics was always, hey, we want everybody between the ages of 18 and 34 listening. Just everybody, it doesn't matter. And then my buddy Lee came around in the 70s and he said, yeah, but two 30-year-old dudes in 1974, they could be wildly different. Like one could have a flat top and, military and all that. And the other one's in the streets protesting like a hippie. So he sort of created a thing called psychographics, which are demographics based on lifestyle, based on region, based on how you live, where you go, what you like, what you don't like. You can have somebody who you can have a twin brother and he might be completely different. So anyway, that's kind of this methodology that I am trying to utilize on Twitter, because I don't think anybody's ever really done it. I mean, I've seen people have success at the local level. Chicago Party Ant was the first Twitter account locally that was only 4 people in Chicago, and it went massive to the extent that she got a Netflix cartoon series. Chicago Party Ant, the actual Chicago Party Ant, the person behind the Twitter, is now, like, in my opinion, one of the funniest actors in Hollywood. I can't think of his name because he's not there yet. But I'll tell you who he is. You know who he is. The guy behind Chicago Party Ant is the guy in those, is it progressive? Don't be like your parents. The one with like the therapist who's like, no, nobody cares. We don't need. Well, the guy behind Chicago Party Ant is one of the stars of those commercials. He's like the younger guy, about 40, who wears the tracksuit. That guy. The Bear. If you watch The Bear, the actor I'm talking about is Sugar's husband. Sugar's husband, on the Bear, the real lovable guy that everybody makes fun of. That guy's hysterical. And he started by doing a Twitter account that was only for people in Chicago. Only. And that was years ago. And I haven't seen a whole bunch of people start doing that. I hope that they do. I had high hopes, in Dallas. I thought that there were a lot of people that could do that, like the Mike Soroys and the Danny Baylesses with what they're doing. But it's not really as local as maybe. Well, if they made me the director, I'd make it a little more local. But no, I mean, it's still great content because they're geniuses. But anyway, that's sort of the switch that I've made here on Twitter I'm really targeting into people who have the exact same roots and sensibilities and remembrances as I am. And man, it has exploded. And here's something else interesting that I've noticed. I've been dangling a lot of different methods, like White Sox baseball, which I'm obviously going to keep tweeting on because those are my people, the White Sox Twitter people. I love those people. That's the best group of people. Anyway, but I've been going real anti-Cub, right? Since the incident of a week ago here in Chicago where PCA got into it with a White Sox fan, a female, and called her said something really terrible to her. So the Cubs have been terrible since then. And I've been really leaning into the let's shit on the Cubs thing. And guess what? That's not getting any traction. That is not getting any traction. You know what is getting traction? Isn't this great? Isn't this awesome? Hey, do you guys remember this? That shit is blowing up. Optimism. Not pessimism, not revenge, not, I'm a White Sox fan. Look at the Cubs falling apart. That's not getting traction. And I think that is pretty inspiring. So, man, I came through this weekend. I'm like, man, I've learned some really good things. I have hope. And I want to thank you all for joining me today on this hopeful first work day of summer. Let's say hi to the chat room. We awarded our pole positions, right? Or our podiums. We gave it to Taronda, April, and Jen. Those are our Taronda, April, and Jen. That's our podium. Let's see. Who else do we have here in the early goings? Excuse me. Sorry. Guys, you know what? I woke up with a sore throat today. I don't get sore throats, but I've been using this stuff. I feel great. The sinuses are good. Just a little sore throat. Peter's in the chat room because, of course, he is, because Peter's one of the kings of the chat rooms, one of the 7 kings. Billy Falk. Look at Billy Falk. What does this mean, Billy? Billy's one of my boys. Billy and I hang out. We used to when we did trivia every Tuesday night. He was like as good a friend as I had. What does this mean, Billy? Is there problems in your industry? He says, enjoying my fun employment for right now. Shit, Billy. I don't know what to tell you. I'm unemployed too. Look, you can survive. Barely. Yeah, it sucks out there, man. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, at least you got your Kansas City Royals. Well, that's probably not good for Billy either. Anyway, Billy, I hope I can take your mind off everything and we can have some fun riffing on the world as we know it. Hey, I just realized I'm wearing my blue glasses. I usually don't wear my blue glasses. I must have picked them up by accident. All right, Billy's here. We said hi to Peter. Let's see who else. Byron. Look at Byron. Byron's here. Who's this? Who's look, I'm going to take this as progress, right? Right. If this show is going to start to attract like bots, that's good. That's progress. I don't know if your services can help me, but I'm going to move in. We've got Liv Femtard, Maddie's there. Adam's here. Hola, Adam. Barney's here. Let's see. Keep going. Is there anybody new? Anybody that's in the Frankie B? There you go. Frankie B sneaking in. All right. Come all. Join Talk for the Working Class. Do I have anything off the top of my head? Well, let me tell you about some of the things that I've already decided that we're going to talk about here today. Okay, we're gonna run through Iran. We're gonna run through the White House shooting. But again, like I said, you want expert breakdowns of that, you go somewhere else. What I'm going to give you is what I saw and what I read and what I think, because I got some things that I think about all of that stuff. but we'll touch on it. Garden Grove. I've spent the entire weekend waiting on some chemical plant to explode. Yeah, the media got me again. I'll give you an update on that chemical situation. Garden Grove, Orange County, outside Los Angeles. There's a terrible, terrible chemical situation going on. By Friday, oh my God, they were selling us a bag of beans on Friday. It's going to kill everyone on Friday. And then they're like, yeah, we fixed it, which is great. Which is great. I mean, that's better. I just feel like I was, oversold something. And anyway, we'll give you the full update because not out of the woods, but things are looking better there in Garden Grove, California. France, excuse me. France is banning Zyn, and well, look, like these things. I love these things. It's great. I used to chewing tobacco. Chewing tobacco was awful. These things way better. France is banning them. I'll tell you why. And why there's actual movement in America to do the same. The banning of what I believe to be one of the most revolutionary products introduced in my lifetime. The banning of it. Of course, people like it. It's got to go away. A little sore throat, I told you, but I'm not sick. I don't feel sick. All right, let's see. What else do I want to get into today at some point during today's show? We're going to go through some videos. I got a new segment because I just find so many crazy videos that I want to opine on with you guys. So 3 vids. Yeah, put a lot of thought into the name. 3 vids, new segment. Just 3 random pieces of video that I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean? Your viral fights, your viral whatevers. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. That's another segment that we've been doing where we were focusing on, just fun things going on at baseball games. Things that jerk-offs roll their eyes at and go, I don't like it. Well, I do. I like it. I like anything that brings back fun at the old ballpark. So we'll do that. The enhanced games went on. See the Roid Olympics? Yeah. I didn't see as much of it as I thought I was going to see because it turned out that it wasn't really all that interesting. But so we'll touch on that. Like I said, we got Maddie. So let me start out with this, okay? I'll start out with this because I feel like maybe I'm a little bit behind the curve. We watch a little TV on this stream. I like to tell you the shows that I'm watching. I like to try and hip you. I like to all of us watch the same things at the same time because then when I make references, I like to think that you get them. I spent the better part of the last 2 weeks trying to convince old Adam to watch The Boys, but he won't. I don't know why. He's so close-minded about shit. So The Boys on Amazon ended 5 seasons, 6 seasons. I'm not sure what it was. But Jeff Ballard, one of our boys in the chat room, I don't see Jeff here today because some people got to work. Frankie's here. Hi, Frank. Frank Smith. Sorry. Want to catch people as they pop in. So The Boys finale, Amazon Prime. Now, when The Boys first season started, I was absolutely blown away, man. I thought, first of all, I think that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, whenever they're involved in a TV project, it's not going to be boring. It is not going to be. If you people have never seen Preacher, which was a series that they did on FX, it is one of the wildest television series ever. I love Preacher. Anyway, The Boys was a follow-up, not a direct, canon follow-up, but it was sort of Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen. What are we going to do after Preacher? And they did this adaptation of the very famous comic book series, or famous cult comic, I guess, The Boy. What's it called? It's not called comics. They don't call graphic novels or whatever. The Boys. Okay. Now, The Boys are the story of a group of normal people, almost mercenaries, whose job it is to murder as many superheroes as possible. This show takes place in a universe where superheroes are real. They are essentially, in the beginning, like first season I watched it, I'm like, oh, I get it. Oh, superheroes are like the way we deify pro athletes. They're like, they're on Wheaties boxes and the brand is that they're perfect, but we're getting to see them in real life. And guess what? Superheroes are assholes. Arrogant, stuck up, cruel, a little bit psycho. Because anyway, that's what The Boys is about. It's a world where superheroes have been presented to us as, the way the Avengers are. But imagine if the Avengers were real. And they did make movies, but they're real. They really can fly. Anyway, that's the Boys universe. And the first season was excellent. Absolutely excellent. The second season, absolutely. Every season has been excellent, in my opinion. It is one of the greatest social satires that has ever been on television. It's an allegory. Can we just be honest? It's an allegory for MAGA. And if you don't, that's a reason for you not to watch one of the most interesting, bloody, violent, funny, well-written shows in the history of TV, well, then it's your loss. But it is. The Vought Corporation, who runs and manages all of these superheroes, is an allegory for MAGA. The takeover of superheroism as a religion is an allegory for evangelicalism. Anyway, I thought just pound for pound, The Boys is now one of the top 5 best television series I've ever seen. And it concluded, I don't know if it was Friday or whenever it posted or whenever it was, but I saw it. And not only did I watch the finale, knowing that the series was going to wrap up, but I went back and watched the whole series. I haven't been talking about it because, I wanted to wait for the whole thing to be over, and here we are. But I wanted to remind myself of the whole arc of all of these characters and just how brilliant a character, a cult of personality Homelander was. Anthony Starr, he will never play a role better than the role of Homelander. He was the star of a show called Banshee. I don't know if you ever saw Banshee, but that was the first time I ever saw Anthony Starr, Australian actor. He was the star of a really cool, I'm not gonna say great, but a really cool series called Banshee. And then the next thing I saw him in was as Homelander, and just incredible. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but the other day I told you about how I'm also re-binging Game of Thrones. And I got to the scene in Game of Thrones where King Joffrey gets his. And I told you how satisfying that was. It was just the exact same experience with The Boys. It just, if you've ever All right, are we back? I think we're back. All right. So anyway, if you like to experience that kind of, oh my God, the bad guy has finally got his, The Boys does not disappoint. Although, it kind of trails off at the end. It hits its zenith. It answers all of its questions with about 25 minutes left in the final episode. So the final episode is the last half hour anyway, is pretty much just, hey, what are they doing now? What's the world like now? So anyway, but it's okay. That's fine. I don't even mind the last 25 minutes, which was absolutely meaningless. The way that it ended, the way we all got our pound of flesh was just brilliant. So I think that The Boys is tremendous. I will spoil one thing. There is, and it will be a meme now forever. I've already seen it. Now, obviously, I've most commonly seen it associated with the Chicago Cubs, who are in a really terrible slump, and we're not going to go into that. But the Cubs are in a really bad slump. I've decided that, being mean to the Cubs doesn't get me the traction that, love for the White Sox does. So, okay, so we're going to move away from the Cubs stuff. But the meme, and it's being, again, attached to the Chicago Cubs, is of Homelander struggling to fly. Imagine if Superman suddenly couldn't fly. and so it's a meme or a GIF or whatever you want to call it of just Homelander like jumping in the frustration on his face that he doesn't have his powers anymore. It's just great. It's just great. So if you've never seen The Boys, I would say this is a series that you've got to put at the very top of your binge list. I mean, if you like television series that are going to be talked about for years and years and years, simply because of all of the things that are in this series that apply to the world that we live in now. Yes, it's fantasy, but it's not all that fantasy. It's very funny. It's very funny. That's the other thing. It's such a funny show. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Now I don't think they wrote many episodes. after the beginning. But their sensibility and them overseeing it and being the showrunners and all of that, just fantastic. All right, let's see here. Billy, he was sending up signals that he might be concerned about his work, as many people are. He says he's going to the Rangers game on Friday for Nolan Ryan bloody jersey night. All right, enjoy. I like the Rangers. I love Nolan Ryan. So what are we talking about? Adam says he's taking Maddie tonight to the Ranger game for anime jersey night. All right, very good. All right, let's jump into what we're talking about here. Let's go into all the things that are happening in the world, the hot topics, at least funneled and seen through my lens. Iran. Let's talk about Iran. Oh, okay. Here's what I'm going to talk. Here's how I'm going to talk about Iran today. I'm just going to pull up one web aggravator, one news site aggravator. All right, here we go. Here are the headlines as they concern Iran. Now, the reason I want to just do this, because we are getting so much crazy, not left and right political, but just so many just conflicting details about what the situation in Iran is. And honestly, all we should care about is that gas is still like $5 a gallon here in the south suburbs of Chicago. That's all. I don't give a shit about on Friday, seeing everybody going, "The war's over. Peace." Well, actually, no, that's not what happened. I'm so here's how it played out. On Friday, when the Memorial Day weekend started, it was, we're going to war. Either Cuba or Iran, one of the two. But you know how Trump loves to do these things on big, long weekends, which I don't know is true. Maybe he's done it once on a long weekend. I think Trump sees long weekends as opportunities for extended golf. I don't think that he is actively planning shit to ruin his rec time. But whatever. All right, so that was on Friday. We're going to invade Cuba or we're going to invade Iran. Then I wake up Saturday and they're like, we got to deal with Iran. And, me, I'm just a normal guy in the middle. I'm going, okay, so we got to deal with Iran now. I thought we won the war a month ago. I thought that we were in a ceasefire, but now apparently we've got a deal and it's 11 o'clock on Saturday. All right, good. What's going on with Cuba? Nothing? Nothing. All right. So nothing by Saturday afternoon. Then, we get into Sunday, and then I start seeing the U.S. They have a deal, or Trump tweeted something about the U.S. We got a deal with Iran. Everything's going to be fine. We're just hammering out the final details. To which I was like, this whole thing is about you, us, America, agreeing to this plan. We're the ones that, whether you want to believe the whole thing about, nuclear weapons and all of that, my whole thing on the urgency behind stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is overshadowed by the fact that we already are dealing with North Korea and a whole bunch of other bad actors out there who are trying to, or somehow, look, nuclear weapons are a really scary thing because they're floating around all over the place. We've got countries out there who are not our friends, who possess these things already, and we're acting like they don't exist. And that's why we've got to send our kids into a desert war against Iran, which thankfully we haven't had to do yet. But you're going to sleep better at night. I'm like, what about North Korea? Why would this suddenly with Iran make me sleep better at night when I haven't been sleeping well for 10 years because of North Korea? You're not addressing that. They're our friends. Well, I guess the thinking is, well, hey, Pugs, if they already have a weapon, then you got to be friends with them. But if they don't have a weapon, you got to bomb them to oblivion. Okay, I don't know that I see it that way, but okay. I think when they don't have a weapon is when you do the negotiating part with diplomacy and deals and, different countries come together as observers and, they monitor this. Or you can just start a war and all of us have to pay $5 a gallon for gas for an entire summer and spring. Nobody ever did this before. Yeah, this is why. Everybody else, at least, were looking out in some way for us. You're not. You take us for granted because too many of us don't give a fuck and will just, hate the libs into oblivion and whatever. Red hat, red hat, red hat. So here are some headlines, right? Here, I don't know what's going on. Apparently last night we started bombing them again. We're attacking them now, and but we're attacking them, but we're claiming it's self-defense. How viral video out of Florida that is, huh? It's like, yeah, we're still in a ceasefire, but we're bombing them because they're gonna bomb us. I don't know what any of this fucking means anymore. Told you months ago that there was a time, there are some institutions here in this world, this country, that I always was like, okay, at least if they say it. I don't have any faith in any institutions anymore. So anything that comes out of the White House about what's happening in Iran, I don't know. Until I start seeing gas prices dropping. By the way, I went to sleep with that last night. Gas prices are expected to drop significantly this week on the heels of the Trump administration's negotiate. Well, that ain't happened yet. I woke up this morning. I specifically waited last night. I was going to get gas on Sunday or Monday. Jeez, it feels like Sunday last night. I was going to get gas on Monday night so I don't have to stop on my way in. But I waited, and guess what? It was the same. $5.05 a gallon. All right? So shut up about your peace negotiations. I don't give a shit about that. None of us do. So here are just some of the headlines concerning what's happening in Iran right now. Update: U.S. bombs Iran hours after negotiators arrive for peace talks. Tensions rise as Tehran threatens to retaliate, developing. Prospects fade for imminent end to war in Iran. Israel steps up strikes in Lebanon, but we're in a ceasefire. We're in a ceasefire. You can't just say it and have it be. There's like something behind it. You can't just, no, we're in a ceasefire. But we're bombing them because we think they're going to bomb us. But I thought you were in a ceasefire. See, it doesn't make any sense. They say ceasefire to placate us. It was never a ceasefire, man. They just put it out there so that we could all feel easy and stop screaming about this stupid war where there seems to be no end in sight because Iran is now like, the strait is ours. Before all this, the strait wasn't ours. Before all this, we were included in a group of nations that managed the strait. But since you did this, strait is ours. And they ain't fucking backing away from that because the guy in charge had to bury his dad because you specifically killed him. This isn't about business, Trump. This isn't about sitting in a board meeting with a bunch of stockholders who you can manipulate with lies and promises. These are radical freak shows, okay? This guy, you killed his dad. You think he's like suddenly just going to go, yeah, sure, peace deal, whatever. Fuck. Supreme leader in Iran says that the Jewish state isn't going to exist in 15 years. Ah, Jesus, this is where we are. Well done, boys. Well done. Seriously, guys, over the weekend, it was either peace deal imminent or we're invading Cuba. And I don't know what the hell is happening. There you go. There's your daily Iran update. Gas is still too expensive. There. How's that? That's your daily Iran update. Then on Saturday, we're all treated to a little bit of excitement around 6 o'clock when I was like, hey, somebody's trying to kill Trump again. I don't know what these are anymore. Because these are kind of good for him, right? Like every time somebody does this, doesn't his polls go up? And you got to ask yourself, you got to say, is this the kind of thing that is every time somebody walks by the White House perimeter, which by the way is a perimeter now. I was explaining this to my mom last night, how depressing this is about the state of our country. If you had ever gone to Washington, D.C. in the 90s or 80s or whenever, mine was in the 90s. If you had ever gone to Washington, D.C. in the 90s, you remember what the White House, the People's House was. You could walk up to the fence. You could look, you'd be like, this is cool. You could take pictures. They got that. They got a whole like half-mile perimeter around the White House now. You can't get anywhere near that without an appointment. We can't even gander lovingly at the People's House anymore because of the state of things in this country. So because of these, security things, some dude, some idiot, some kid, he's mentally ill. All right, let's just be honest. We know that he's mentally ill. He walks up to one of the guard stations and again, I don't have any faith in institutions anymore. I used to have the highest regard for the Secret Service and the Department of Justice. I always felt that they were non-political and they were independent entities that we could all lean on when we needed to fucking know some facts. But I don't know about that anymore. Secret Service is like, he showed up and he just started shooting. I don't know. Did he show up? He may have just showed up with a gun and then immediately got fired upon. I don't know. There's a innocent that got shot. Ain't saying a lot about that either, which always makes me think, Secret Service shot another guy. Secret Service shot somebody else. Do we know? I don't know. This all happened at 6:00. It wasn't as, well, I don't mean to say serious because it is very serious. Anybody pulls a gun out and starts unloading at federal officers, theoretically, allegedly, somebody does that, that's a serious thing. But I think in the opening moments, it was he got in the White House. It was like very overblown. And then you start to see the details and you're like, oh, this is outside the perimeter by the official gift shop. Okay, so he never even got, the dogs weren't even alerted, right? We always hear about the dogs, those amazing Malinois that they keep there at the White House. Anybody, gets on the lawn, starts chucking. All of a sudden, you're chased by a couple of dire wolves from Game of Thrones. Yeah, those dogs, they didn't even get alerted. And then people were like, why are there guys on the roof of the White House with guns? Like that picture was going around. Like, just to gin everybody up. But there's dudes with guns on the White House roof all the time. That's one of the places they are. But people don't know that. So when you put it in connection with a breaking news story to a bunch of people who don't know that on Twitter, they're like, oh my God! They're trying to kill him again. Also, should be noted, CNN was the first on it of those sorts of media groups. CNN was on it about 2 minutes, and I think this is just because of a commercial break before Fox News jumped on it. However, Fox News had it on the scroll first. I saw it on the scroll on Fox News long before I saw it on CNN. Where we all saw it was, Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV over there on YouTube. That's the son of a bitch. That's the guy who scoops every breaking news story in America. And he does it with professionalism and he does it with journalistic courtesy. He's good. He's really good. Cannot be denied. He is bowed down to the great Lookner, man. That dude. Anyway, he was on it for like an hour before CNN finally comes at us with this. This is how CNN told the world that there had been another situation there at the White House. This is Saturday night, probably around, 6:00 or something. Let's see.
And then reporters were rushed into the briefing room after,
I'm sorry, it didn't start
again,
from
what
the
appeared.
We have breaking news. CNN reporters heard what appeared to be dozens of gunshots near the White House a short time ago. Julia Benbrook is now inside in the press briefing room. Julia, bring us up to speed what you heard and what you know.
Yeah, I'm here with other White House reporters, photographers. We are now in the briefing room. This is where Secret Service rushed us to after we heard what appeared to be dozens of gunshots. And I want to paint the picture for you a little bit. We're here in the briefing room, and then you can kind of see out the window. Secret Service is currently working the north lawn there to make sure everything is okay. But that's where we do live shots, is those green tents out there. And I was just speaking to you from out there just before this happened. And then reporters were rushed into the briefing room after, again, what appeared to be dozens of gunshots.
All right. We don't need any more of that. We get it. We get it. Nothing. She's just telling us about what happened. How about this one? Selena Wang. What is she? NBC, ABC, something like that. She's the one that went viral with it because she was, well, a whole bunch of them, I think, were recording, right? They're recording their stand-ups in the press area there. And Selena Wang was the first to get her video out there on the socials. This is how it went down. You can hear the shots. Let's listen. Here she is. By the way, I say this girl's name. I don't know who this girl is. I've never seen this girl before. I don't watch ABC News.
President Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No.
President Trump has.
All right, listen to that. Listen to the gunfire. That's why. Let me turn this up as much as I can. And probably that was bad. Sorry if there was an echo there. Let's try it again. I want to hear this one more time. I want to try and count the gunshots.
That President Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
Okay, I couldn't count the gunshots there because it got real messy. But what is clear from listening to it, answering at least one of my questions from earlier, it sounds to me like one person began shooting. Bang, 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 bang. That was one person shooting. And then you hear return fire. So the story of him walking up to the gate and shooting, at least from what I'm hearing, that plays out. It sounds to me like he begins to shoot, bang, 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 and then you hear bang, 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 bang. Then you hear all the return fire. All right, let's try that one more time.
President Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides.
See, boom, 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 boom. That's the gunman, I guess.
Said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
Here now it's return fire. Bam, bam, bam.
Said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No.
Jesus, the video cut out before the gunshots were done. How many gunshots? Wow. That was a lot, man. One more time. That's a lot of gunshots. And that's, again, observation, not a judgment. I don't know that that's what was needed. Maybe it was. They're doing their job. I'm not an expert.
Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No.
I mean, it doesn't to me sound like the shots are even trailing off when the video stops. Here's another guy. This is I don't know who this guy is. Let's see. Another. Man, do you remember when Connie Chung was the only Asian woman on TV? I do. Now it seems like what, we only accept our news from Asian people? Now, again, not a judgment, just an observation. Here's another video from the White House when the shooting broke out. There's an Asian guy. Pugs, why you got to define everybody? But, well, because it's fun. Because it's fun and I like different cultures. And, you know, if you're reading that as being somehow superior, which would make it racist, I'm sorry, that's not the case. Here you go. Let's watch this guy. He was there too. He's the other chick. She seemed like she was in a tent, right? This guy seems to be free balling it out there on the White House lawn.
On Capitol Hill is weakening.
Okay, so we get to hear the full range of gunshots here with this guy. One more time. Let's listen to how long that goes on for.
On Capitol Hill is weakening.
Wow. All right, so I guess this is where they just moved all the report. All right, there you go. We get it. Wow. Pretty dramatic video there, caught live while recording. Now let's see, what do we know? Do we know anything about the shooting suspect? Nasir Best is his name. We have a picture of him. Well, let's get a picture. Let's you see who this guy is. Nasir Best. There he is. Okay. All right. I need a good picture of him. It's probably the best we're going to do. All right, here he is. This is the 21-year-old guy who walked up to the Secret Service checkpoint there at the White House over the weekend. Nasir Best. Here he is. I'll make the picture big for you. We'll tell you all about him. He's 21 years old. Okay. He is a resident of Maryland, so didn't have to travel too far. The Department of Justice officially has characterized this incident as an attempted assassination on President Donald Trump, who was inside the building at the time but unharmed. I think Trump likes that. I think that they have seen that when they officially lean into they're trying to kill me, that he does get a little bit of bump, especially with the base. I think that Butler, Pennsylvania was a real assassination attempt. I even think that the guy that was hiding in the bushes outside the golf course while Trump was, playing the back nine, I think that was real. I think the White House Correspondents' Dinner, I think that was absolutely real, although, probably not as well planned. I mean, I just don't know how he thought he was going to do that, but okay. But that was real. I think that was really a person. This guy, I just think, was a crazy person who walked up to a checkpoint half a block away from where Trump was in an office in an incredibly secure building. I just don't know that this was a real assassination attempt, and I bet you the wife of that fireman who was killed in Butler, Pennsylvania would agree with me. But, you're going to keep putting it out there and, okay, whatever. Again, I don't trust any institution. So, when the Department of Justice, led by who? Todd Blanche, the guy who sent the global sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell from a maximum security prison to a lightweight club fed. That's the guy you're asking me to believe his characterization of this? I don't think so. Whatever. Shortly after 6 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, Best approached a Secret Service security checkpoint near 17th Street and Northwest. Oh, God, it's Washington, D.C. streets because it's not a block or a grid system. Everything goes diagonal. 17th Street Northwest and Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, what do we know? What's the address of the White House? 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. This was 1700. This was a block away. Okay? It's not in the White House premises. It's down the block where the checkpoint is. Because as I told you earlier, unlike when we could go to the people's house back in the 1990s, they now keep us a good 5 football fields away from it. The country we've made. Secret Service Uniform Division officers. Those are the Secret Service guys who wear they look like SEAL team members. They have all the flak and all that. Secret Service Uniform Division officers returned fire, fatally striking Best. He was transported to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. A male bystander was struck during the exchange and hospitalized in serious but stable condition. No law enforcement officers were injured. Well, yeah, I care more about the citizens. So, I care more about the person who didn't sign up for the potential of this kind of thing happening. But, law enforcement, I guess that's good. Do we know anything about the citizen? I don't know. Do we know anything? Do we know anything about do we know? I guess they're not offering who shot the citizen. And if they're not offering that, I got to imagine that he may have been shot in that insane volley of fire that we heard from Secret Service, which is part of the gig. All right. I'm not saying that, they're obviously I'm just saying, when you fire that many times into an area that has a gift shop, you might hit some people shopping for keychains. I don't know. Previously, Best had a documented history of targeting the White House. Back in June of 2025, he was involuntarily held for blocking a vehicle entry on the complex's east side. Then in July of 2025, he was arrested for a second time in 2 months. He reportedly told officers that he was Jesus Christ and that he wanted to get arrested. This got him in a psych ward. Went to a psych ward. Following his 2025 arrest, a judge issued a stay-away order barring him from the White House area. Best failed to appear for a court hearing back in August of 25. This triggered an active bench warrant for his arrest and was outstanding at the time of the shooting. So he's wanted on a warrant for not going to court to promise that he would stay away from the White House because he was at the White House. The FBI and Secret Service are conducting a joint investigation into how best obtain the weapon and its exact movements leading up to the attack. All right, there you have it. That's him. Look at him. Trouble. That's trouble. He looks like trouble. Scary, looking like the Predator. Why would you choose to look like the Predator? Let's see. What else do we have here that we want to talk about today? Okay, let's get rid of Nasir Best. He's sick. He's sick. You'd be like, oh, let's fucking kill him. He's sick. He's sick. He's crazy. A bunch of people are running around out there sick and crazy, man. It's best we catch him. Catch him, put him in a rubber room. You know, I don't know that we can fix him, but man, just, you know, they can't help it. You're like a couple of bad days in a row from just snapping. We all are. And then just not really realizing what we're fucking doing because we're all caught up in our own bag of emotions. And then suddenly, you know, we can't stay away from the White House. Like this weirdo. Garden Grove, California. That's out there in Orange County. The shitty part of Orange County, though, because I can't imagine, you know, the real housewives of Orange County that we've been treated to over the years. I can't imagine that they live, you know, with any close proximity to a chemical plant, especially one with this kind of volatile possibility. Anyway, Garden Grove, California, Orange County, just outside Los Angeles County. They got this methyl-methyl-muckle. It doesn't matter. You're not a chemist. I'm not a chemist. We don't need to know. Methyl-meckling. It doesn't matter. Stop it. Pugs, that's not how you say it. Well, if you know how to say it, then shut your mouth and just know that you know how to say it. To the rest of us who don't know how to say it, it doesn't really matter. Here's all that matters. It's a bad chemical. It's a bad chemical that's explosive and toxic, highly toxic. And it's in this drum at this chemical plant. And something went squirrely. I wish I had better information. Something went squirrely. And all of a sudden, the chemical plant started to overheat. And in the process of overheating, it began venting these highly toxic chemicals into the air. This was Thursday. By Friday, by the time this show had ended on Friday, and I'd gone home and done all my things and plopped on the news and was just getting ready for a long holiday weekend, I'm seeing wall-to-wall coverage of this potential end of days chemical scenario. Not end of days. End of days for anybody that lives in that area of Southern California, because in the beginning, they were telling us that this toxic cloud, given the current and expected weather patterns in Southern California over the next couple of weeks, could just hang over the city and get trapped in the valley and just, well, you know, hey, all them Hollywood folks. It was a bad situation. Actually, you know, shouldn't even say that it was expected to go. I don't know which way it was expected to go. I just know that they were showing us all these meteorological things that none of it was good. It was all like, oh, man. So by Friday, there were only two outcomes. Seriously, I'm not kidding you. This is what they were. There's only two outcomes for this. The sad reality. They're holding press conferences. Firemen and city officials are getting up and going, there's only two outcomes for this. It's either going to split and spill hundreds of thousands of gallons of toxic chemicals all over this neighborhood, or it's going to explode, and everything's going to explode with it. And we're going to have a mushroom cloud. Let me show you this. They were putting this out. They weren't backing away from this. This is what they were warning everybody. They put this out. This is a blast radius map of the chemical plant that they had released publicly. Imagine this. Imagine you live in this area here. Check this out. Look at this. We'll show you this. All right, I'll make it bigger. That's what she said. Can I make it bigger? Oh, maybe I can. All right, so you see that like pink thing in the middle here. That's where the chemical plant is, obviously. Gee, thanks, Pugs. We're idiots. All right, so here's the blast zone, right? These are all the different radiuses, okay? So this first red one, severe damage. That's about a half mile. For a half mile, just severe flattening. And then look, it's going to go all the way out here. And then I don't know what this is. Anyway, I can't read that map. Can you? It's scary, is what I'm saying. So those were the two options. So obviously I dial in. I got a monitor on this thing all weekend long because they're saying it's hopeless and we're just going to sit here and wait to see what happens. Big fireworks show on Saturday night is what I thought. I thought the whole thing was going to explode. They were so beaten. They weren't lying about anything. They were just like, yeah, this is bad. There ain't anybody on the planet that knows how to stop this. Seriously, that's the kind of shit they were saying. Comes Monday morning, yesterday, with this news. The risk of catastrophic explosion has been completely eliminated at the GKN Aerospace Facility in Garden Grove, California, allowing officials to lift evacuation orders for roughly 65% of the affected residents. 50,000 people were evacuated from this area in Orange County. That's a pretty good sized suburb. Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of hotel rooms. So here's what they were able to do. Remember, on Friday, they were like, well, this is going to be bad. But apparently what they were able to do was consistently douse the tank with cold water from fire hoses for like 3 days in a row. And the temperature inside the tank dropped from 100, which they were getting really scared. They're like, oh, this thing's going to blow up if it goes anymore. Because apparently this chemical is very volatile and explodes, at relatively benign temperatures. But anyway, it was getting there. And now it's at 97. So they're like, okay, it's dropping. The water is working. It's cooling the inside down. So it ain't going to explode. Could still, and probably will leak though. They're saying it's probably still going to break open. I don't know. Fire crews have achieved a major turning point over Memorial Day weekend when they discovered a crack in the upper section of the compromised 34,000-gallon industrial tank. The crack successfully relieved the extreme internal pressure that had threatened to trigger a massive boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. So good. So that's good. Now they know, okay? Now they know that the risk is that this thing's just going to split open and all these chemicals are going to come out. The internal temperature of the tank, which had previously peaked at over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, has been successfully cooled down to 93 degrees Fahrenheit. There is no active leak. Atmospheric monitoring teams report no active chemical leaks and have detected no hazardous chemical levels in the outside air. There is, however, the lingering threat that there could be, highly flammable chemicals inside I'll just read it to you. While the worst case scenario is averted, a threat of smaller localized fires or minor explosions do remain. The highly flammable chemical inside, methyl methylcrylate, may still be partially liquid or transitioning into a hardened gel. The initial evacuation zone encompassed roughly 50,000 residents across Orange County. As of Monday evening, about 16,000 residents closest to the facility remain displaced. All right. Best possible outcome, I think, especially the bag of beans we were being sold on Friday, that this was going to be terrible and it was going to ruin America's Memorial Day weekend. Well, maybe we got hyped. Maybe we got hyped again. Who knows? I certainly don't. All right, here's what we're going to do here. We're going to take a break. Still to come on today's show, bunch of deaths. We got to do the death trilogy thing. We got to get you caught up. I believe, as you do, celebrities die in threes. And the reason they die in threes is because they all ascend to the celebrity wing of heaven, which is basically a gated community with 3-bedroom condominiums. And celebrities are placed in those condominiums. That's why they die in threes, so that they can all move in together. We've got to get caught up. We've got a whole bunch more of those. We're going to talk about the enhanced games. I'm going to get into the whole France and possibly the United States looking at banning these nicotine things that I think have certainly changed my world. What am I going to do? Go back to smoking cigarettes? I never smoked cigarettes in the first place. Was this all a psyop to get people to start smoking? I ain't chewing tobacco again. That's a child's game. That is, I'm a grown-up. I don't need to be chewing tobacco like a child. Anyway, a whole bunch of shit we got to get into. We're going to come back with Maddie. I'm going to take a quick break. Okay, I'm going to give me a new cup of coffee, and then we'll do what we need to do. But bear with us. By the way, once again, a reminder: this show does run on your gratuities, so drop a little something in the tip if you want. That would always be helpful. Summer months are more difficult. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Give me about 5 minutes. Maddie Maddie from the left. That's what we'll call her from now on. That's Maddie from the left after this. All right, we're back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Part 2 of today's rant, live from the south side of Chicago, the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios, only on RadioMisfits.com and other places like YouTube and stuff. But RadioMisfits.com is our mommy, our daddy, our parent, and all of that stuff. All right, before we get into all the other things that we're going to talk about today, we're going to do our from time and time again, our little conversation that we have with my friend Maddie. Maddie's a lady down there in Louisiana, and she comes to us from the liberal left. She's going to spew some, well, let's just see what's on Maddie's mind today. See if we can hear her here. Okay, there we go. I mean, she knows I was calling her, right?
Hello.
There she is. All right. I was like, what the hell, man? What
Sorry.
That's okay.
I was running from one room to the next. My dog decided to bug me at the precise moment you called for a treat.
All right. So here's what I want to do with you today. You bring a lot of things to my attention that do not creep into my bubble. My sort of middle of the road, regular guy. I don't understand what you're talking about kind of attitude towards all of this. So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to start doing here. As I said earlier, no, I'm not going to just bring a guy on from the right to just start screaming about his worldview, because you can get that everywhere. What I don't think you can get a lot of places are, the opposite side of the view. So Maddie is my friend. I think she's very smart. We don't agree on everything, but I think we're more likely to agree on things than maybe, some of you other folks out there. So Maddie, take it away. It's Maddie. What's on your mind?
Yeah. So, we had a big weekend. Don Jr. got married.
Yeah. Who'd he marry? I got to see who did Don Jr. marry. Is she hot?
Don
Of course
Jr.
she is. What dumb question.
Married a woman by the name of Bettina. I'm not sure what her last name is, but it is significant because let me see what her name is real quick. Bettina Anderson. She is a Palm Beach socialite and influencer, but the Twitterverse is screaming right now.
What are they screaming? What are people saying? Because here, we're going to put a picture of her up here. There they are, the lovely couple now up there with us. By the way, that's a rich lady name, Bettina. Well, yes, actually,
very much so. You are dead on the money on that, because her father was the banker that underwrote the deal for Epstein to buy Little St. James.
Oh, look at that. The real estate broker who, made Lolita Island a thing. Am I crazy? I'm looking at this picture of Don Jr. and the lovely Bettina. She looks like Ivanka to me. He looks like he married his sister.
We've discussed this before. They all have what we call Mar-a-Lago face. Like it's a thing. But Trump did not attend the wedding. They were gonna have it at Mar-a-Lago. It did not happen at Mar-a-Lago, and my sources are telling me that he was also pushing for a White House wedding, which was very much shot down. We already know Don is on, this is, I think, is now a second marriage. He exiled Kimberly Guilfoyle to envoy to Greece to get rid of that problem. This happened on in a destination wedding on the Bahamas. So it wasn't even in America. It was a very small affair, but people are talking about the fact that he's very upset that Trump did not make time to go to his destination wedding, and he's pushing to have some sort of a more formal affair still at the White House. And in fact, he told his father that he didn't even have photography. He didn't have photography done at this destination wedding. Like, he's holding out or something. I don't know what he's going to hold over Trump's head to do it or whatever, but
he ain't holding nothing over his dad. Are you crazy? This is all her. She wants the White House wedding. He doesn't give a shit. And the whole reason that Trump didn't go to this wedding is because this family has the attitude of, well, I'll make it to your next one. That's how seriously they take these weddings. So this is not a thing. She wants the White House wedding. Don Jr.'s like, I'm not asking Dad for that. And And, I think maybe Trump would love to put on a big, fabulous White House wedding. But I imagine that there are enough people around him right now going, gas prices, you cannot have a big, giant wedding. You can't.
Oh, I don't think
it's a
it's an
bad look.
optics issue at all. No,
I
no,
know.
no. This is not an optics issue. This is a quite frank fact of the matter that Don Jr. is not Trump's favorite kid. If it was Ivanka, she would have gotten whatever she wanted. I even think Eric would have had more leverage here. But it's Don. He don't give a shit.
Yeah, you say that he is the least favorite kid, but I think we all know that that's the least favorite kid right there on the screen. Tiffany, he doesn't even acknowledge her. She's like, he got her just in case Ivanka needs a kidney. That's why he made her. Anyway, there you have it.
Well, so there you go. He married Bettina, and she's got Epstein ties, and but we don't give a shit about
you
Epstein anymore. We don't give
unfair!
a shit about that anymore.
She doesn't have Epstein ties. Her dad does. God, I get what you're saying now. I understand. Yeah. All right.
But they all do. But nobody cares about that anymore. That's not news. We don't give a shit about Epstein, though. Then we don't care about that. So moving on to the next thing. Like I said, busy weekend. We had some more stuff that happened. We had some weird shooting stuff that happened at the White House. And in the midst of all this, me being a lefty, I have my touchstones, and, the right seems to lean into like the Joe Rogans of the universe. Well, over on our side, we have a guy, and some people actually refer to him as the Joe Rogan of the left. His name is Hassan Piker. Now, I asked you a long time ago if you watch him or you knew who that was. He's not on your radar at all. Not surprising. But he has been being covered a lot in Fox News, and largely because he is a political correspondent. He does Twitch streams exclusively, and has millions of followers. I watch his Twitch streams on a daily basis, and his chat room is full of usually upwards of 30,000 people that are watching his live content. Yeah, and he goes on the air for 6 or 7 hours. And he largely platforms, and people are like, oh, just the Democrats. No. He's left. He's not Democrat. He's left. He's socialist left.
Yeah.
And
hold on. Let me stop you right there, because that is something that is really emerging now and becoming clearer and clearer in the last couple of months. When you say the left, there are a lot of Democrats. There is people on the left, the people who Maddie are talking about, the Hassan Pikers, this new wave of whatever, voting for change and all that. They're not Democrats. These are not people who are just going to outright vote for Democrats. They will never vote Republican, but they aren't just simply going to cast their vote for the next Democrat. It's certainly not an established or modern Democrat. They're looking for something new. Yeah.
Like literally, like when I'm saying these people are not institutional Democrats. They don't even care for like Hakeem Jeffries, right? Like they're critical of those people. They've pushed so far left that when they push right, they push into Democrats, right? So this guy is platforming this new emerging group of politicians that are falling under this umbrella that are referred to as DSA. I'm a member of the DSA in my area. They're called Democratic Socialists of America.
All right, so let me ask you this. Just you know more about this than me. So here's a question. This DSA that you mentioned, we talked about the Hakeem Jeffries. Certainly a Chuck Schumer is not somebody who's favorable with these people. Where does somebody, I think if you're talking to the mainstream of America, they would say AOC is sort of the tip of this spear. Where does she fit in the Hassan Piker universe?
He's favorable to AOC. Obviously, we consider her a disruptor. She's not mainstream in the Democratic area, but probably not socialist enough, to be quite frankly. I think who you're more thinking of would be the tip of the spear that we're starting to see some real quote unquote DSA activities out of, would be more like Zohran Mamdani.
Right. But even though he's gotten a lot of headlines, your aunt, who watches Fox News. Well, I guess you would be familiar with them. The point is that AOC has been around now for about 4 years. And whenever anybody needs to throw an example of the horrid liberal left, they use her. So I'm just trying to see how this new wave embraces that. Because
it's
at this
all
point,
fracturing off. All of it's fracturing off, you know, much like in red circles too, but really you're only seeing two camps in red, right? You're seeing MAGA, and that's what we're calling far right, and then you see conservatives, and everybody's kind of piling into these two buckets, right? Well, on the blue side of things are fracturing more differently. And so, and there's this, and because of this thing with Hassan Piker, there's another new group that's forming now, which is even interesting, I'm gonna get into as well. But so yes, DSA, that would be, you know, these insurgents that are coming out of nowhere. You know, like I kind of think Tallarico might fit into there some kind of a way, because he came out of nowhere and he's an insurgent, you know.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, let me stop you right here. This is again, maybe we're saying it in different ways, but I say this all the time. It's about, you know, Tallarico is interesting and can fit anywhere because he hasn't been branded by the opposition yet. That's what we're talking about with all of these Hassan Piker people that you're mentioning. They haven't been mainstream branded by the opposition, so we don't know how evil they are, and those are the most dangerous candidates in America, because if people haven't already been told about what to think, they're going to make their own mind up and they might vote for them.
Right. And they acknowledge that the voice of the people have not been heard. So they're not leaning into Democrat, you know, institutional Democrat ideologies or platforms. They're definitely not getting PAC money. They're definitely not getting even big DNC support. They're not in the tent, right? So these guys are out there doing these grassroots campaigns, which we're seeing big traction on. A lot of these blue seats that have flipped, a lot of these red seats that have flipped blue, especially in a lot of these, you know, smaller districts, the people they're flipping blue to are these guys. And Hassan has platformed many of them. And he lives in LA, so he's very dialed into the LA mayoral race right now. He's dialed into the governor race, which is just a smattering of all kind of people from all over the place. But he is platforming congressmen, senators. He was part of Zoran's campaign, you know, whenever he was running for mayor of New York. And we're seeing these guys. These guys are getting voices out. And of course, this is largely destructive to the polyopoly that we see as Democrats and Republicans. So let's be clear here. It's not that he is the blue star that's coming out that the DNC is even particularly excited about. They see him as an op too. And so he is, you know, creating this momentum behind the idea that you don't have to go red or blue, and these people might run on a blue ticket, but make no mistake, they're not the institutional Democrats that you're used to. These are the guys that are hearing you, and they're bringing different ideas to the table.
All right, take a breath. Take a breath. We take a breath. It's a conversation. The RNC and the DNC are corporate institutions. They like the status quo. They like to be able to manipulate us into thinking that they're giving us change and all of that, but they never have. They are corporations, and their bottom line is the same as other corporations, right? It's just votes instead of shareholder success. Populists like Trump came in and upended the RNC. And what the RNC did was, instead of fight this change, they wholly embraced it. So what we're looking at now is the same kind of thing happening with the DNC, with the people that Maddie is here describing. It'll be interesting to see how the DNC, the corporate wing of supposed progressive politics, it'll be interesting to see if they do the same thing that the Republicans did. The Republicans just completely, especially Republican conservatives, completely disavowed all of their ideologies and just bent over for the populist MAGA. I am wondering if we'll see the same thing in the DNC.
We haven't seen it yet. Like I said, it's interesting. The DNC has not been particularly pro the Hassan group. They see it as threatening. They don't see him, because he doesn't embrace their platform candidates, right? Like during Kamala Harris's campaign, he didn't just immediately say, well, that's our blue lady, so let's go for her. Although he did say, well, look, you only have two choices here. And if it's Trump or Kamala, I'm clearly voting Kamala. But let me be clear here. Kamala is not a great choice either. And here's why. He very much doesn't just say vote blue no matter who. He's not that guy. I appreciate him for that, because as someone who feels like the Democrat Party is where I kind of land, I don't necessarily think that the Democrats are always doing great, right? You know, so he's that guy. He's an insurgent voice out in the periphery that's getting traction.
Barney in the chat room responding to what I just said there about how the left and anyway, Barney says, like, the alt-right isn't the right. You're absolutely right, Barney. The people on the right have to go through that a lot. Fine, decent, conservative, Christian, God-fearing people who are in their hearts good people are not the crazy groypers or alt-right. You're right. We need to be more nuanced with everybody. Not, you know, that's so thank you, Barney. I think that's a very good good point to make. We don't want to gloss over it.
I'd also like to point out here that Frank seems to think that I forgot about the libertarians. Let me tell you something. Everybody forgot about the libertarians, and here's why. Because libertarians
they're
fall somewhere in the middle.
Go ahead.
And they choose a side to caucus with anyway. So if it's a left-leaning libertarian, they go Democrat. If they're a right-leaning libertarian, they go red. Just like Thomas Massey. Everybody's talking about Thomas Massey right now, and they're going, "Oh, he's such a truth teller." He sat there and caucused with Republicans, and when he didn't get his primary, and they threw $35 million at a primary to get him out of that seat. Yeah, now he's speaking up. Now he's saying something about Epstein. Now he's doing those things. Like, look, libertarians don't have ground in this race that we're talking about. It is either blue or red. And I feel for libertarians in some ways, but they have nothing. They have no motion, and they choose a side and they stay with the side.
What do you mean in reference to Massey? Now he's speaking up about Epstein. Well, that's a bit unfair.
Certainly he and Ro Khanna did work very hard to pass the Epstein Transparency Act. He was up there when it first broke, and he was working hard to get that. But the minute his campaign came on deck, he didn't do anything else after that, and they silenced him. And he routinely voted Republican on every single other issue, the War Powers Resolution and every other act. And when asked if he was leaning more into the Democrat side and trying to cross the aisle, Massey himself said, "I'm more of a Republican than you think I am."
He is. He's a conservative Republican, but again, he's not.
He's a libertarian that votes red.
Okay, well, there is no such thing as libertarians. I'm sorry, those are just lazy-minded people who can't figure out what principle they stand for. I've always said libertarians are just guys who watch Fox News all the time, but they play bass in bar bands, and they have to frequently hang out with other musicians who might be liberal, so they call themselves libertarians. I've always thought it was a bullshit hedging between, you know, the two choices.
It's a fence sitter. Yeah, you're fence sitters.
But Massey, I just don't.
One side and one foot in the other.
Massey is a typical Republican conservative. I know you're calling him a libertarian. Maybe that was just a fancy brand that he attached to himself. But to characterize him as
how he identifies.
But to characterize him as being a guy who, like, only now is he about Epstein. No, that's the reason he got primaried. The whole reason he got himself in trouble was because he wouldn't fall in line with the rest of the RNC, who I told you bent over for the populist MAGA. He would not fall in line.
There were some Epstein elements there, but quite frankly, the reason why AIPAC threw so much money into primarying him off that seat is because the one thing he always lined up on was not advancing foreign aid. He included Russia and he included Israel in that. And Israel don't want to lose their damn money. And that's that. Like, why in the world would they have spent $35 million on a red primary in a red district that was already going to be red? Period.
Well,
we're getting so far off track.
Yeah. All right. So look, what else you got? Okay. Give me something else.
So back to the Hassan thing. So over the weekend, when the middle of all this shit was going on, Fox News broke a story that Hassan Piker, a Twitch streamer, and Medea Benjamin, who is the head of Code Pink, were being issued administrative subpoenas by the Department of Justice. Now, what this goes back to is back in March of this year, Hassan Piker and Medea Benjamin, leader of Code Pink, went to Cuba on an envoy. It comprised of probably 600 people. They filed all the proper paperwork, requesting all of the proper documentation. Hassan went over there with a journalist visa, and they covered. And he did a documentary afterwards about his experience in Cuba, and they brought humanitarian aid. That's all they did. They brought diapers, food, medicine, solar panels, and they documented the entire trip. They stayed in the proper government sanctioned hotels. They got all their correct permits, and it was very well known. People in Hassan's world knew about it, and it wasn't a hidden story in any way, shape, or form. Well, all of a sudden, Fox News breaks this story that he's being subpoenaed, and the world went crazy. So if you're seeing anything about Hassan now, it's in retaliation of that. Now, I would have thought, which is really crazy to me, that, Democrats, liberals, leftists would have screamed up and said, like, why would you do this? Not quite the case. There's this breakout group that is now being referred to as Blue MAGA, who are so violently against Hassan and anything that he's doing that they're saying throw him in jail behind this.
Well, here's the good news for him. He's going to be eligible for that new slush fund that Trump established for people who are being insanely prosecuted. This is stupid. Cuba. I have a friend who goes to Cuba. Talked about it. I'm not going to say it now because apparently people are being prosecuted. People go to Cuba all the time. Journalists go to Cuba all the time. It's not a big deal. Suddenly it's a big deal. From the guy who's projecting what a crime it is to maliciously prosecute your political enemies. The same guy who was saying that is now bringing the Justice Department against some left-wing YouTuber because he went to act as a journalist in Cuba. It's nonsense. It's stupid. But I have to tell you, this is just an example, and this is why I wanted to talk to you, and you and I didn't discuss this beforehand. You just said, this is why you might be seeing that. I have not. This is not a big story. This is a story in your political bubble. Your algorithm is feeding you this Hassan Piker story. When you texted me on Saturday or Sunday, hey, if we do a show on Sunday, I want to talk about Hassan Piker. I went, I don't know what's going on there. I have no idea. So it is just interesting because, you and I, we've been talking a lot about our social strategies, and we're both utilizing two very distinct strategies. And it is interesting to me that the stuff that you are seeing and being made aware of is nothing at all like the stuff that I'm seeing and being made aware of. We have a very schizophrenic society.
Fox News was all over this, but Fox's red ring.
But I don't watch Fox News, and neither do you. You don't watch Fox News. So how are you aware of this if you are not watching Fox News? I know you're not a Fox News watcher.
No, I don't watch Fox News.
It's being fed to you by the algorithm to stir you up.
No, I don't watch Fox News, but it's on it. Like when I'm on X, I'm seeing news clips of like Jake Tapper and stuff talking about, Hassan's getting arrested. Fuck him, whatever, and they are exploding this into something far further than just an administrative subpoena. Like they're literally painting this to look as though he's being brought up on some sort of criminal charges and he's being investigated.
Well, this will be good for his brand. This won't go anywhere. There will be no, we still have some, stop gaps in these malicious prosecutions. They almost never go anywhere, especially when they're this silly. So it'll be good for his brand.
Is that Hassan hasn't even received the subpoena. So I was going to also point out the fact that, is this even a real thing? Because nor Medea Benjamin, who are also the top implicators of this thing, I've watched Hassan every day since. Neither one of them have even received the stupid subpoena yet. So I'm almost wondering if this is not some bullshit that Fox News made up in order to, I don't know, say something against Hassan or to boost their own algorithms themselves because they needed coverage to push some other story.
All right, so let me tell you, that's interesting because I do think that that's how a lot of these things get started, but it's not Fox News making this up. This is somebody from inside the White House somebody at Fox News, and by the way, all the hosts and all the producers and all those people have contacts and friends, and they say, hey, what's going on? And they get leaked shit. So I don't know that Fox News would make this up out of whole cloth because I still believe on some level they are journalists, although I use that very loosely. What I do believe is that there's somebody in the White House who would make this up because they know that based on this leak, Fox News would run it, and then people would get ginned up. I have no doubt that the White House uses Fox News as an instrument of disinformation to gin people up, but I don't think that this would be just made up by Fox News. Anyway, I just wanted to get that straight. That's the White House we have.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. And then there was some other stuff going on too, because where we're tracing this information back to is an actual X post where some stupid ass on Twitter said something about looking into Hassan because how did he go to Cuba? Because we can't go to Cuba and there's an embargo on Cuba.
A lot of people go to Cuba. A lot of people.
I know. Well, quite frankly, not shortly thereafter, Nick Shirley went to Cuba and went around looking at fraud and doing all the dumb shit he does. Now, nobody's talking about Nick Shirley. He went over there with fucking Dr. Oz and looked to try to point out where he felt like that there was, fraud happening. And many people have pointed out that when he went over there, he stayed in a hotel that wasn't on the government approved list. So if you want to go look at somebody, why don't you go look at your boy Nick Shirley?
No, they won't do that. They won't do that because he gins up the stupids. But I do want to point out about Cuba. Again, people go there all the time. It's illegal. It is by letter of the law, but there are special exemptions made at the state and the federal level. People in Florida go back and forth all the time. My friend Emil has been fishing in Cuba, and I always point out, you were breaking, federal law. That wasn't a problem. Every rich guy, this is how serious we take Cuba, just so we're making this point because we're arresting people now for going there. Every rich guy I've ever met has a giant humidor filled with illegal Cuban cigars. That's how serious we take this. And by the way, I've pointed this out to a number of them. I said, that's more of a crime than if you had an ounce of weed sitting on your desk. And they would just smile and go, yeah, but I can get away with it.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
So let's not pretending Cuba is some great crime.
Yeah, there's many Cuban cigar stores in New Orleans that you can walk in, and if you know the guy, they have some Cuban cigars in the back. You just have to know them.
Sure.
It's crazy to me, but like quite frankly, he nor Medea Benjamin did they do what is being asserted. They applied for all the proper reasons because like you said, there are many legal ways to get into Cuba. They applied for those legal ways. They got their permits. They got their journalistic pass. They did what they needed to do. They disclosed exactly what their activities were going to be, which is humanitarian aid. They cleared all of that through customs, and they went to Cuba for the allotted amount of time they were supposed to be there. He filmed and documented the whole thing, and within 2 weeks afterwards, put his Cuban documentary out on his experience there. He didn't lie. There was no subterfuge. So it's interesting. I think it definitely tells some tales here. I'm not sure where this story is headed. It could wind up that they bring him into Congress and ask him some questions about what he did there. It could be because they're trying to see about something behind the scenes that they are maybe more interested in, and they just want some testimony from Hassan about it. Not sure, but yes, in my left circles, this did blow up.
All right. Come on, we got to wrap this up. But first, I want to address Frank in the chat room, who is saying the U.S. government is becoming, interesting choice of words, the U.S. government is becoming tyrannical, says Frank. That's why Virginia Democrats are banning assault. Becoming? Frank, you were a fucking Tea Party guy. You've been saying for 20 years that the government is tyrannical, but now suddenly it's become... This is just absurd. You people. You fucking people, man. Is it becoming or has it been? Did it get fixed when you cast your vote for the rapist? Oh my God, shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have said that. All right, we got to end this because you're stoking me up, Maddie.
Okay. Well, I was going to tell you an experience I had with some white supremacists on X over the weekend too,
yeah,
but
write that down.
We'll talk about that another time. It was very brief, but a little terrifying. It had to do with Jake Lang. But
all right, I'm done with that guy. All right, Maddie, thank you so much. Maddie, of course, appears with us throughout the week whenever she's got good stuff. Let me know next time you got good stuff. We'll have you back on.
Thank you.
Talk to you in a few days. There goes Maddie. You got me all. I'm trying not to be political, man. But actually, I do want her to be political because nobody can stir people up like a lefty. So, But yeah, man, Frank, what is going on here, man? Frank's like, it's becoming tyrannical. I thought you've been saying, see, I haven't. I have not for 20 years been clutching. There we go. I haven't for 20 years been clutching my pearls going, it's getting tyrannical. But you have. But you have. You have, whether it was Obama or whatever, you were all tyrannical. Frank, come on. Remember when Obama was going to invade Texas? Were you one of those people going, I support my governor who's mustering the troops to defend Texas's border from the, where was he supposed to be born? In Kenya? From the Kenyan-born usurper? Dude, that was you. That was you 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Stop it. It's not becoming tyrannical. What it is broken. Okay? I think we got a president right now who would love to be able to make it tyrannical, but thankfully, we've got enough of these checks and balances here that have stopped him from going full-blown tyrant. Okay? So we're not going to be a tyrannical. What we are is we are a very jacked up system right now, and we all need to come together and recognize that and stop saying shit like it's becoming tyrannical when you're the guy who's been saying it's tyrannical for 20 years. Frank would also like us all to know that Fox News is for boomers. I'll admit that. I've known Fox News has been for boomers for 20 years. You've been watching it for the last 19. Only now is it for boomers. God. Anyway, all right, let's keep going here. What else are we going to talk about today? Thank you, Frank. Yeah, as I always like to doff the cap to people who trigger me. That's always a fun part of the show where I momentarily lose control and then struggle to get the tires back on the road. All right, let's see here. The enhanced games. The enhanced games were over the weekend. You know the enhanced games? The enhanced games, this is the Roid Olympics. Was it about a year ago, maybe a little bit more? I think we first became aware of the Roid Olympics because isn't this something that like Don Jr. and Eric invested in? I don't know. Let me see. Let me ask, because the first time we heard about this, it was because Don Jr. went on Fox News and was like, "Yeah, we got this new thing, the Enhanced Olympics." Let me see. Is this a thing? Is Don Jr. and Eric involved financially with the Enhanced Games? Let's see here. Because we didn't hear a whole lot of that. Donald Trump Jr. is directly involved financially. Well, there is no public record or indication that Eric Trump is financially involved. Venture capital investment, Donald Trump Jr. co-led a multi-million-dollar Series B funding round for the Enhanced Games. All right. Because of course it is. Anything that makes you go, ew, that's probably not something that should be. Anything that makes you feel that way, the Trumps got their money in it. Anything that makes you feel gross about what you're watching, I bet the Trumps have their money in it. Enhanced Games. I was kind of excited because, I wanted to see a bunch of freaks. I don't give a shit about their long-term health. I just wanted to see a whole bunch of freaks do a bunch of freaky things. I don't, in any way, shape, or form, believe that I was watching great athletes. What I think I was watching was on an even playing field. I think we were watching just real mid athletes, just guys that were like the fifth best on their track team, not guys who were ever without the help of these enhanced drugs, not guys that were ever challenging for a spot on the Olympic team or anything like that. You know what I mean? These are just dudes who are like, I'm pretty fast when I do roids. It's not like they took the second fastest guy to Usain Bolt and gave him a bunch of roids and said, look how fast he is now. So there were no records. There was like one stupid one, but they promised all the world records will fall. None of them. Like the guy who won the swimming competition at last year's world, the guy who won the enhanced game, the fastest swimmer at the enhanced games, at the last Olympic trials would have been like 137th in the world. So even with the enhanced shit, these are still just like mid-tier athletes who, whatever. It's still pretty fun though. I mean, the concept is funny, especially if you're like me and you honestly don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about these guys getting ball cancer. I don't give a shit about these guys' hearts exploding in 5 years. That's their choice. They're making this choice, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch it. All right, so let's get into, let's see, what do we have? Do we have any kind of, we'll let the Scripps News tell us about it. Drug-friendly enhanced games delivers big payouts, but few track records. The drug-friendly enhanced games offered $1 million bonuses for world records broken, but only a swimmer succeeded as track stars fell short. Of course they did. Track stars, bunch of roided out white guys. No, I'm kidding. But, still, wouldn't that be funny? Just like, here we go. We're going to try and set the world record. I'm white and I took roid. So, it's not Compound V, for crying out loud. You're not going to just, that's a boys reference. Do you understand, boys? It's not like they're taking Compound V. Fred Curley, Kerley. Let's get it right in the record books, huh? Fred Curley ran 100 meters in a very pedestrian 9.97 seconds Sunday night to win the enhanced games in a race where the sprinters had to be placed in the starting blocks 4 times because of false starts and untied shoes. I do like that description. The guy, so the sprinter who took all the roids, he very pedestrian. He won with a 9.97. Curley, who predicted Usain Bolt's world record of 9.58 seconds would get destroyed, said this. You can say anything in the world now because there's no accountability. So this guy, even though he's never run anything even remotely close to Usain Bolt, he's still going to make a viral video where he's like, yeah, I'm going to slash that record. Okay, so is this going to be the first time you're ever going to run on roids, or have you been practicing? Oh, I've been practicing. Have you come anywhere close to Usain Bolt's record? No, but I'm going to when the cameras are on. No, you're not. And no, he didn't. Curley predicted Usain Bolt's world record of 9.58 seconds would get destroyed, ran a time that would have placed him last at the Paris Olympics 2 years ago. All right. Last. Where's the guy that would have finished 145th in the world? I'm going to find that one. The only athlete to win the $1 million bonus handed out by Enhanced Games promoters for records that fall. The $1 million bonus was for going faster than the world record over the 4 hours of swimming. Wait, hold on. Okay, wait. So this is a combined. All right. The only athlete to win the $1 million bonus for going faster than the world record over the 4 hours of swimming, weightlifting, and track in this specially built stadium on the Las Vegas Strip. What? That's a fucking terrible sentence. That is a terrible sentence. Is this AI? Did AI write this? Jesus, AI, you obviously never had a journalism professor like Ed Morris. That is terrible. All right, so only one guy won $1 million bonus. That's Christian Golklemiev, who closed the night by swimming the 50-meter free in 20.81 seconds. That record won't go into the books, however, because the Enhanced Games, true to its name, allows performance-enhancing drugs. All right, there you have it. I know big records fell. I don't know what that one was. I don't know. Here. I'll show you this, though. So this was weird. I just thought this was strange. This was one of the enhanced athletes. This is how weird these people are. So this is a guy whose body is basically a chemistry set. And he's been talking about how, I do all these things. And then, he's like Tom Brady. I don't eat any strawberry, blah, blah, blah. He's like one of these like super, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. It's like Nick Fuentes being the spokesperson for white people and he's Mexican. This guy is out here as a spokesperson for healthy living and he's pumping all kinds of chemicals into his body to the extent, this is what I wanted to show you. To the extent that this guy will not go out in the sun. He doesn't go out in the sun. Sun bad, steroids good. That's what this guy is trying to tell you.
Why are you holding an umbrella?
90% of visible skin aging is from the sun. So this is a UV umbrella protecting me from the sun. Even though the UV index is 2, that's right, you got it. So.
He's very healthy. He takes care. His body is a temple, a toxic temple. His body is the Garden Grove, California temple of chemical. It's just so nonsense.
I need to get an umbrella. Oh my goodness.
Why are you holding an umbrella?
Did they hire her because she's down with the enhanced part of the enhanced games? Look at me.
90% of visible skin aging.
Okay. All right. I guess we missed it. Yeah, all the chicks at the enhanced games, I made note of that. All the chicks at the enhanced games had enhanced boobs. They all had big boobs. True to form. All right, let's see. What else are we going to talk about here? We did the enhanced games. Colbert did something pretty funny. Stephen Colbert, I guess after he finished his show on CBS, The Late Show, I guess he flew to Michigan and did like a community access TV show from Michigan. It's out there if you want to see it. It's really clever. And what I really like about it is that it is such a cool commitment to the bit. Stephen Colbert didn't want to get on a plane and fly halfway across the country after his little goodbye so that he could appear the next morning on some local cable access channel in Grand Rapids as a bit. He did it as a bit. Like this was his new job. That is a commitment to the bit that I really, really appreciate. Anyway, here it is. This is, I'll show it to you. I won't show you the whole thing, but this is Stephen Colbert. The day after his show ended on CBS, he flew to Michigan to host a cable access show.
Hello. Also welcome. It's time for another edition of Only in Monroe. I'm your guest, host, Stephen Colbert. Longtime viewers of Only in Monroe may remember that back in July of 2015, I filled in for the usual hosts, Michelle Bauman and Kaylani Ray-Rafko Wilson. Still not sure.
So that's true. That was like a bit that he did on his show a long time ago. And now it's a callback. It's just the commitment to comedy. He is so through and through a Second City guy. The bit is always going. The bit is always to be built on. Yes, and it never has to end. It's just the day after his show, he's like, hey, let's do that bit again where I'm hosting a regional cable access show.
That is. Since I was last here in Monroe, Michigan, I spent 11 years as the primary host of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert on CBS, which came to an end last night. It's been an excruciating 23 hours without being on TV, so I am grateful to be able to be here on Monroe Community Media before they also get acquired by Paramount. Truly a joy to be back in Monroe, Michigan. I had such a great experience the last time I was here to take a Michigander that I just had to come back Michigan. Plus, legally speaking, Monroe is the only place in the world where you can make the show only in Monroe. It's just like how champagne must be made in France's Champagne region, or Milwaukee's best must be made in Milwaukee by drinking an actual beer and then peeing it into a can. Are they sponsors?
Okay. All right. So anyway, Only in Monroe wasn't just him sitting in front of a camera. He had a pretty good lineup of guests that came out. If you're a big famous celebrity and you lived in Michigan, somehow he got you to show up. Like this guy here, Jack White, of course, of the White Stripes.
All right.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Let's stop.
He did it like the way, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember what cable access TV shows were like in the mid 1980s or the early 90s, but he did this show exactly the way we remember it. It made no sense. It was very low production. There was awkwardness. There didn't seem to be any real expertise, and just random people came on to do random things like we just saw Jack White.
Right
Did you
there.
add a suey? I had to. That was
Sure.
like suey. That's a pig call.
While we stop there, I'm scared a bunch of Sasquatches may storm the studio.
I know.
Here we go. Now,
You know.
Michelle.
Yes.
I understand that you had some health issues.
All right, let's
with the
jump
last-
forward.
Fell in love with a girl.
Take another hit.
Oh God, another hit.
They're just taking hits off. This is the dumbest. This is the commitment to the bit. All right, who else do we have?
All I know is Buscemi's exists.
Buscemi's Pizza. Yeah, they had a bunch of like fake commercials.
We have the same name. And that's where any connection ends.
All right.
But
Well,
So few people have the courage.
And 18 a.m.
Monroe News.
Didn't you have Jeff Daniels on here? There we go.
They need a test guest. Would you be willing to just go over? And I said, and I had seen you on Stewart's show.
Yeah, on the Daily, yeah.
And was going, the guy's funny. Yeah, I'll go over.
All right. Anyway, there you go. Like I said, it's a full-hour cable access show filmed the morning after Stephen Colbert said goodbye. And, it's commitment to the bit. It's there's nothing mean about it. It's not divisive. It's just commitment to the bit. It's just funny. He lost his job. So what's he going to do now? He's going to do a regional cable access show. That's funny. I enjoy that. All right, let's see what else. Oh, how about this? You want to see something that I didn't enjoy? Watch this. So the Boston Red Sox, baseball teams, they have their little fun. They do their little like post-game concerts and stuff like that, and keep the fans sticking around. Boston Red Sox did it. They did a David Lee Roth concert in the parking lot from apparently Dave ain't big enough to actually fill Fenway. So they sent David Lee Roth, that's right, the legend from Van Halen. They sent David Lee Roth out there into the parking lot, and he did a show for Boston Red Sox fans. You ever wonder what David Lee Roth looks like these days? Well, we've been playing, look, fair is fair. Every time Frankie Valli does another concert, we have to play those videos of him lip syncing and just being awful. Do you think that fate has also befallen one of the great lead singers in the history of rock and roll? You know what? Maybe not lead singer, because singer suggests a vocal talent that I don't know that David Lee Roth necessarily had. David Lee Roth was an adequate vocalist, but David Lee Roth is probably the single greatest frontman that isn't named Mick Jagger in rock and roll history. David Lee Roth took frontman antics to a whole new level. So let's see if that's still a thing. Here's Dave on stage in the parking lot there, or across the street or something from Fenway after a Red Sox game. So no splits. We're not getting any splits these days, Dave. You're not going to do any high jump karate kicks in the air. No. Did he miss his cue? I don't think he missed his cue, right? No. Here. Hey, well, whatever. He's out there cashing his checks. There you go. David Lee Roth. I still love him. I'd go see him. If David Lee Roth was playing in the parking lot down the street at Southside Fest or something like that, I would definitely see David Lee Roth, knowing full well that this is what I'm getting. All right, that happens. It happens. What are we going to do about it? Can't do anything about it. Let's see. What else do we have? All right. Yeah, here we go. Let's do some catching up here. I like to do the whole celebrity death trilogy here. I keep you abreast of who's living with who for all eternity there in heaven. We've all heard and noticed, maybe even pondered why it seems that celebrities die in threes. Well, they do. They do. I've staked my entire life on it. Celebrities die in threes. And that's because in heaven, celebrities aren't with us. So, your grandpa who diddled on a guitar. You're like, well, Grandpa's playing with Jimi Hendrix. No, he's not. No, Grandpa's not. Grandpa has the same access to Jimi Hendrix in heaven as he had here on earth, okay? Stop it. Anyway, celebrities in heaven are kept in a celebrity wing. It is a gated community. Maybe it's on a golf course. I don't know. It's heaven. It's whatever you want. They live in this beautiful community, celebrity wing of heaven. And they have 3-bedroom condos. That's why they die in threes. Are you getting it now? They die in threes so that they can all live together. It's not always a perfect match. Sometimes it's a very interesting mix of three. And I have been chronicling the celebrity death trilogies for years now. Every year on January 1st, I begin with the first celebrity who died, and we make the trilogies for the year. We do not carry over from year to year. We have to make sure it ends on a nice even one, and it sometimes doesn't, but we make it work. Anyway, we've had a lot of people die in 2026. We are on our 15th or 16th trilogy. So think about that. 15 trilogy, 45 major celebrities. And these aren't major. These are celebrities who we know. We do, battle back and forth, internally about, is this person worthy or not worthy? But whatever. For the most part, I think that these people are all the only, because it's my list, sometimes these people mean more to me than they might to other people, but whatever, deal with it. It's my list. So let's get us all caught up on what's happening here with the celebrity death trilogies. Now, the last people we talked about, the last celebrity death that we mentioned, I believe that goes all the way back to 14. No, or was it Celebrity Death Trilogy 13? It was Celebrity Death Trilogy number 13 of the year 2026. This occurred between May the 1st and May the 6th. And we got 3 people who died. We had Alex Zanardi, world champion Formula One driver, John Sterling, the voice of the New York Yankees, longtime voice of the New York Yankees, and the third person in that Celebrity Death Trilogy, the last one we covered, Ted Turner. Ted Turner. Zanardi, Sterling, and Turner. That's the last full-on, open and closed death trilogy that we covered here. Let me tell you about 14, because we didn't cover 14. 14 was NFL quarterback and head coach Craig Morton, followed by Major League Baseball manager, the great Bobby Cox, followed by comedian from the 70s, 80s, and I guess that's pretty much it, John Barber. John Barber, creator of Real People. He was on Real People. So there you go. That was 14. NFL quarterback Craig Morton, baseball manager Bobby Cox. By the way, both those dudes, 84, 83. And then comedian John Barber, 93. They'll get along. That's a good threesome. It's a bunch of old men. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. 2 sports guys and a comedian. That's a good mix. That is Celebrity Death Trilogy number 14 for the year 2026, comprising the days of May the 9th through May the 10th. Yeah, 3 and 2 days. Look at that. We move on to 15. We talked individually about some of these people, but we haven't placed them in their death trilogy. This is a weird death trilogy, guys. This was 3 in 1 day. And we didn't cover it because it was 3 in 1 day. And as a matter of fact, one of these people, I didn't even know died until I was putting this together this morning. Didn't even know this person died. And I'm like, oh, shit. We talked about Rex Reed, right? Told you all about Myra Breckenridge a couple of weeks back. I think it was 2 weeks now. When Rex Reed died, he was the film critic, famous film critic. He was also starred in a movie before he was a film critic. He was a failed actor and decided to go into criticism as sort of a backup. And it worked out for him because Rex Reed became one of the most famous film critics of the 1970s and 80s. Rex Reed died on the 12th day of May at 87 years old. He died of, I don't know, old guy stuff. We talked about Donald Gibb. We already talked Ogre, right? Wasn't that Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds? It was also on HBO's First and 10. Some people mentioned the Bloodsport film that Donald Gibb starred in, but if you were a fan of those kinds of things in the 1980s, you certainly remember Revenge of the Nerds, and you remember Donald Gibb as Ogre. Ogre, 71 years old, joins Rex Reed. Ogre died on the 12th day of May. 3. We've got 3. Rex Reed died on May 12th. Ogre died on May 12th. Here's the big one, though. Here's the big one that I had no idea. Joining Ogre and Rex Reed for all eternity. You guys, on May 12th, Mark Furman died. Mark Furman? Remember from the OJ trial? Mark Furman, the detective who was like a racist or whatever. I'm not going to go back into that. But Mark Furman, who was, you want to talk about a top tier media creature for a couple of years in this. A media creature is a regular citizen who suddenly everybody in America knows your name, right? Luigi Mangione, he's a murderous media creature. Mark Furman was a media creature. He became a media. Now we call them influencers and they all go viral. But back in the day, Mark Furman, very famous. Did you know he died? He died of cancer. I had no idea. Throat cancer. Mark Furman, 74, joins Rex Reed and Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. Boy, all I can tell you, if Donald Gibb, who played Ogre, is anything like the character Ogre, him and Mark Furman are just going to be really mean to Rex Reed for eternity. Could you have Rex Reed now has to live with Mark Furman, who probably doesn't like gay dudes, and Rex Reed is super gay. And then Ogre, that's not good. Anyway, that's a natural. That is the 15th death trilogy of 2025, all of them occurring on the 12th day of May. Rex Reed, Mark Furman, Donald Gibb. That's 15. Number 16 occurred between the 12th. That's right, another guy. We couldn't fit him in there. I had to figure out who died first or who was posted first. That went to Donald Gibbs, so we start the 16th death trilogy with another person who died on the 12th day of May this year, Jason Collins. We already talked about Jason Collins. First openly gay professional athlete. He played for New Jersey Nets, Celtics, a bunch of other teams. Well-traveled, Jason Collins, 47 years old. First openly gay athlete in American Big Four, right? The Big Four, basketball, hockey, football, and baseball. Jason Collins died on the 12th. He starts out the 16th death trilogy. He's joined by Mr. Strokin, Clarence Carter. Told you about Clarence Carter. He goes in with Jason Collins. Hey, look at this. Hey, you got the guy who wrote Strokin. You've got Jason Collins, the first gay professional sports athlete in America, and they are joined by Barney Frank, 86, the first openly gay member of the United States Congress. Look at that. Two gay guys and the dude who wrote Strokin. Tell me that ain't a natural. We are on a roll here. All right, so that is the 16th death trilogy. Celebrities die in threes. That's the 16th death trilogy of 2026. Jason Collins, Clarence Carter, and Barney Frank. Brings us to 17. This is where we are, and we've got a full one. We've got a completed 17th death trilogy, and we're going to move on. I'm going to tell you about these three people. I already told you about Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch starts it off. Kyle Busch died on the 21st day of May. I told you the story about how this punk kid, Kyle Busch, came into our radio studio and was funny and cocky, and it was just, the whole vibe was, I can't believe this kid. Who does this kid think he is? It was fun. Kyle Busch sadly passed away at 41. Still don't know exactly what they're saying about that, but okay. Kyle Busch goes in first. NASCAR legend, American race driving legend, Kyle Busch, dead at the age of 41 years old. He just died last Friday, the 21st. Kyle Busch opens up the 17th death trilogy of 2026. He's joined by Grizz. You guys, man, this is like, Pugs, he ain't famous. Shut up. Grizz Chapman is famous. Grizz Chapman from 30 Rock. If you love 30 Rock and you watched it for all the years that it was on, you know that Tracy Morgan's right-hand guy was Diz. Diz? Wait, wasn't it? What was the other guy's name? It was Grizz. Grizz was the big one. Grizz was the guy that could handle Tracy. Grizz was a giant, scary grizzly bear-looking man who, I guess, within the universe of 30 Rock was Tracy Morgan. Tracy, what was his name in the show? Tracy Berry? Tracy, doesn't matter. Anyway, Grizz in 30 Rock was Tracy Morgan's bodyguard. And when Tracy would do super insane things and nobody could deal with him, they could go to Grizz because Grizz was normal. Grizz was like, yeah, I know it's crazy. I'll talk to him. Grizz Chapman, 52 years old, American actor, 30 Rock, really funny in that show, 30 Rock. I don't know what his story was. I don't know if he was an actor. I don't know if he was legitimately one of Tracy Morgan's friends who Tracy was like, come do the show with me. I don't know. But I know that Grizz Chapman died on the 22nd, one day after Kyle Busch, and he joins Kyle Busch there in heaven. We got one more, and we're going to do a little tribute to this guy. It's a really quick one. Should have had this pulled up. All right. Let's see here. Also on the 21st, where is it? Let's make sure we hear it. Yeah. All right. Is that it? Kyle Busch died on Friday. Then on Saturday, we lost Grizz from 30 Rock. Also on Saturday night, it was revealed that we lost this guy.
Right about now.
Yeah. DJ Easy Rock and Rob Bass. Rob Bass died. I want to rock right now. Rob Bass. Man, all time. I'm sorry. It takes two to make a thing go right. All time banger. You will not find anybody from my generation out in the wild not smiling when this song, man, it takes two to make a thing go right. Rob Bass, DJ Easy Rock. That is a one-hit wonder, right? I don't give a shit. You know who else is a one-hit wonder? Tone Loc. And I still, I hear Funky Cole Medina. It doesn't matter how old I am. I'm getting into it. Rob Bass died. Rob Bass joins Grizz Chapman. You got to imagine that Rob Bass and Grizz Chapman are going to have a lot of fun together, right? I imagine that Grizz, man, Rob Bass, I saw you guys on Long Island in 92, right? Probably Grizz and Rob Bass are going to vibe. Knowing Kyle Busch, I think that might be a rough fit. Not that I'm just saying culturally, I'm just saying Rob Bass is going to be listening to, like, I don't know, Alan Jackson songs, I would think. I imagine we're going to hear Rob Bass from his room saying shit like, you want to turn that garbage down? I think we might hear some of that from Kyle Busch's room. Anyway, there you have it. That is the 17th Death Trilogy of 2026. Kyle Busch, Grizz Chapman, and Rob Bass. It takes two to make a thing go right. It takes two to make it understand. Here's the funny thing about that song. You want to hear a funny thing about that song? When that song was released, when that song was hot and in the clubs, I would have been one of these guys like, that song sucks. That's not the kind of music I like in 1990. I'm very, into the only kind of music that I like. And if I were to reveal that I like something other than what it is that I am known to like, then what does that say about me? That's how I was at 20. But fact of the matter is, now I'm this age and I'm going, no, that's a banger of a song. That's an all-time banger. Couldn't tell you what my favorite song of, the moment that Rob Bass's song, that song was relevant. I can't tell you what I would have said is the best song of the era, because that was probably totally forgotten. But you know what's not? It takes two. It takes two to make a thing go right. Yeah, all right, here we go. Let's do this new segment we're calling 3 Videos, because I put a lot of thought into it. Three videos. There's so many crazy videos that I like to share with you guys that I just, instead of trying to shoehorn them in and finding a story around them, I'm just going to go through some videos. We're going to call this segment 3 Videos. And so here's the first one. This comes to us from my guy John Boy over at John Boy Media. He does baseball oriented stuff. This one, a bit of a departure for John Boy. This is going to be some girls. Yeah, some girls softball. We got a hot mic here. First of all, I love girls softball. I married a woman who was a standout girls softball player. She was a shortstop. She was very good, long and lanky, and had a lot of range, and she was very good. I've always liked girls softball. Anyway, here you go. Hot mic here in the Arizona-Texas game.
Wonderful relationship, those two. And she said when you come to Austin, they tell you you're going to be you're going to compete for national championships as an assistant.
What the hell is that? Somebody just off mic. Oh, turn it down. I'm going to play it again. Somebody just off mic for some. Lick my ball sack.
You're going to compete for national championships in Austin. They tell you.
Lick my ball sack.
You're going to compete for national championships in Austin. They tell you.
Lick my ball sack.
If I still had a radio show, I'd use that. That'd be a drop. We hear that all the time. Lick my ball sack. That'd be a good one. That'd be an all-timer. All right, there's video 1 in the tree video segment. Video 2 is going to be an old man falling down a flight of steps in the rain, which, normally I wouldn't want to amplify, but it's Tommy Tuberville, who I find to be just an absolutely reprehensible piece of shit. So here is Tommy Tuberville. Come on, that's pretty funny with the music. That's funny. That's video 2, Tommy Tuberville. Guy was not a great football coach. Not a great football coach. Stop acting like he was a great football. He wasn't a great. He had a couple of years. He wasn't a great football. He's not Saban. All right, stop acting. Anyway, now he's apparently about to become a very powerful member of the United States Congress. Well, I mean, he's already been a senator, but I mean, his position within the Congress is about to be elevated. Apparently, he's going to be important now. He had always been marginalized because all right-thinking people went, he's a moron, but he got popularly elected by people who think a football coach can... All right, never mind. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, there you have it. That's number 2. Video number 2. Tommy Tuberville falling down a bunch of steps to Phil Collins is in the air tonight. I think that's just perfect. Here's one you've probably seen over the weekend. I'm sharing this one for the last. This we're going to have to break down. This one is crazy. The paraglider. You guys have seen this one, right? This is a paraglider in Germany. She's like, first of all, she's paragliding. So anything that happens to her, I'm pretty much going to be like, yeah, that would be expected. You shouldn't be doing that. That seems like a risky thing. That's, I get nervous when I get into aircraft created by engineers and workmen for big giant airlines, for massive commercial. I get nervous when all of those boxes are checked. Could you imagine just building something in your garage and going, I'm going to go up 10,000 feet? No, John Denver, thank you very much. I don't think so. So, just they're like, hey, you see what happened to the paraglider? I was like, I'm all in, and I won't be freaked out by something terrible happening because I think someone who does this, just like a rock climber or whatever, they know. I see one of them Walendas walking a tightrope across 2 buildings. I'm not freaked out about them falling and dying because that is one of those very specific situations where I can't offer them any empathy because a normal person would be like, don't do that. You're going to fall. They're like, no, I'm a Walenda. So if they fall, I got to be like, well, it's not like they didn't know. There's a choice. Freedom. I'm all about freedom. So here we go. This is a lady. She was over there in Germany. She's on a paraglider. She built it in her garage. She's an adventurer because, life isn't exciting enough for her. She's up there and a Cessna plane rips through her paraglider. You'll see. But I just want to put this out here before we watch it. And I know some of you already seen it. But you know how there's a lot of sky. This is a very specific. How did these two get so close? There's a lot of sky out there. I don't know how these two things collided with each other. It seems very easy to not run into things when you're up to, but what do I know? Anyway, here you go. Watch this. All right. So I wanted to pause it here. See her? She's paragliding. See this plane? Look at the plane right here. It's coming out of nowhere. It literally appeared out of nowhere. The first time I saw this video, I went, that's AI. That plane just appears out of nowhere. Apparently, it's not AI. All the major news institutions have been covering this. Apparently, it's not AI. All right, let's see where the first time we can see the plane. Can I see the plane yet? Is this the plane? This thing comes so fast. There it is. All right, there it is. Yeah, here comes the plane. And she seems to be aware of it too. I think she's like, okay, this seems like it's coming pretty close. That's unnecessary. Look at this. Goes right through her sail. Look at that. plane. All right, here we go. All right, so she's fucked. I do appreciate this about her because she knows what she's doing. She's never been in this situation before, but she's prepared for it. They've got the backup parachute, and it looks like she's got a backup parachute in her pocket here. See how she's frantically reaching into her pocket? She's about to throw like a wad up cloth that was in her pocket. She's about to just throw it, and then her entire life is going to be dependent on that. Watch, here she goes. There she goes. Throws it. I wish I spoke German. I'd love to know what she's saying. Look at that. Why you gotta do this? Now, I want a thrill. I'll roll through a stop sign in the neighborhood where I know there's a lot of cops. That's how I get my thrills. I won't come to a complete stop. I don't need this. What kind of a psycho needs this? I do dig the parasailing pants because, like, the pants sort of become a what do we call it? A parachute in and of themselves. Watch her pants explode or explode. Yeah, my pants. I would have already exploded in my pants at this point. But watch her pants inflate with air as she gets closer to landing. It's pretty cool. Look at it. Isn't that cool? It's like it's like she's wearing a hot air balloon or something. I don't know. It's just like really slowing her down. Right. Coming down. Jesus, get me on the ground. Because right now I'm like this little, parachute that I had crammed in my pocket. It's working right now, but I don't know how long it's going to work. All right, here she goes. That does not look real. That looks like AI. And where is this camera? That's the other thing. What are we seeing? Where is this camera? What is this camera? Obviously it's nobody holding it. Is it like a GoPro? I don't see an arm anywhere. What is this camera that is filming this? And before I forget, can I say this because she's about to land and I have a whole thing I want to say about landing. Do you know how lucky she was that plane didn't drag her? Like that plane went right through her sail and her ropes that she was using. It went right through and then it emerged the other side in the sail and the ropes. What if they had gotten caught on that plane and she was being dragged horizontally across the sky? Holy shit. I mean, she's lucky, right? Anyway, she's about to land here. And I got some questions about the landing. See, I would never, it seems like under the best of circumstances, the landings are always like, well, you're going to need knee surgery. The best parachute landing I have ever seen, I've looked at and gone, yeah, I'm breaking both my ankles. Both of my ankles are now broken. Probably going to need knee surgery. Why are can you slow it down a little bit more? Can't we? I don't know. Anyway, watch this landing. And I guess it's a perfect landing. Doesn't look perfect. Looks like a broken tailbone. Here we go. And back is broken. There you go. she is. Incredible. She's fine, by the way. Totally fine. Totally fine. She said, other than some scrapes and bruises, and I'm like, well, bruises from the landing, but what is scrape? Where'd you get scrapes from? What's just I mean, you tell me that your tailbone is jacked because of the way she landed. She landed on her tailbone with her legs up. I don't know. Barney says, I have an uncle that built his own paraplane. Is he a rich uncle? Because, you might want to encourage him to go on up in that paraplane. Hey, Unc, you're not spending near enough time in that plane you built in your garage. Have you got your will and all that? Your favorite nephew taken care of? .com, that's it. Thank you, Adam. We were talking about my memory of 30 Rock was a little bit grainy, thinking of who Tracy Morgan's two guys were. We lost Grizz. Grizz died over the weekend. I couldn't think of the other guy. .com. That's right. It's Grizz and .com. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. All right, let's see. Let's go. What else do we have here? We did the paraglider. We don't need that. I don't think we need to go into that. No. Yeah, we'll save that for tomorrow. There's a lot of stuff that can just be tomorrow. Like I wanted to. Charlie Sheen is talking again. Charlie Sheen is talking about how crack made him gay. I'm like, no. Crack doesn't make you gay, Charlie. I know you admitted that you had these gay relationships with guys, and that's fine. Just own it. But don't sit down and just try to say that it's because you were doing crack. No, crack is the excuse that made it okay for you to fulfill some kind of fantasy that you've always had. But it's not like, oh, you smoke crack and suddenly want to have sex with a guy. I have been super drunk. People always use drunk as being... I have been super drunk in my life, and I've never done anything that honestly I would be like, well, it's because I was drunk. No, being drunk just breaks down the inhibitions that you would normally have. So anyway, point is this. Charlie, doing crack didn't make you gay, okay? You already had that in you, and you were up for anything when you were high. Anyway, we'll play that tomorrow. He goes into all kinds of, here's what I think happened. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Charlie. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, this is pretty great. You know what? Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Here we go. Let's end the show with that. Another example of can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Started out with me showing you examples of how people are behaving in the stands when they get balls. Some bad, some good. We saw a bunch of different things. We're expanding out. Fun at the old ballpark, right? A reason to go out and re-embrace America's former pastime. That's right, former and maybe future. I don't know. Probably not. Let's be honest. Football's a juggernaut. Fun at the old ballpark. Here, I want to show you this. This is an incredible story. This is, I love the drama. I love the theater. I love the backstory and the mythology of baseball. Well, comes to us the story of Brian Torres. Brian Torres is a brand new member, made his Major League Baseball debut for his home club, the St. Louis Cardinals. Go Cards! Go Redbirds! Love the Cards. Here's why this guy is special, okay? Brian Torres has been in the minor leagues for 11 years. He is Crash freaking Davis to the 10th power. Been in the minor leagues, slugging it out. Love of the game stuff, right? He could quit. He could go take a job as an accountant. He could have given up, he could have, he didn't. He stayed with it. 11 years in minor league baseball. He gets a call up. Not a super competitive year for the Cardinals, although I think there's a lot of time left. So let's see where the Cardinals go. So he gets called up on a team that's kind of somewhere in the middle there. After 11 years in the minors, let's check in on Brian Torres. First game in the majors.
Out pitch. Swing and a shot hammered toward right. That's deep. That's gone. First big league home run. Unbelievable.
Look at that smile. Look at that smile.
He can hit like Juan Soto. What a debut for Brian Torres. 11 years in the making.
All right, there you go. That's a feel good. That's a don't give up. That's no matter what people are telling you, it'll never happen for you. He can quit now. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to get an everyday spot. He'll probably get sent back down again or something. I don't know if he's exhausted his options, but whatever. That guy has that. In his life, he has that. No one can ever tell him that he cannot make it in Major League Baseball because he finally got a shot and he went yard. Badass for Brian. Very good. Want to show you another guy. Want to show you another more fun at the old ballpark. This one is very personal because it affects me and my Chicago White Sox. This happened to us yesterday. I've been telling you, right? Big White Sox fan, and I'm back on the bandwagon this year after being, away from them for 2 years because I refuse to be a part of those record-setting terrible teams. Those record-setting terrible teams existed on purpose. It's not like we went into those seasons thinking that, we got a shot. No, it's been 3 years of we have no shot. We are obviously just developing talent in the minor leagues. So it's going to be a couple of years before we have any kind of credibility. Well, guess what? That year is here. All of these incredible minor league players that have been matriculating through our system, many of them debuted last year when they started to turn it around. They're all mainstays now, whether you're talking about Miguel Vargas, Colston Montgomery, who else? Kyle Teal. Of course, we haven't had him yet. Noah Schultz, the pitcher. Davis Martin, the pitcher. These great prospects that we gave everything away. 4 years ago, we gave everything away and just took nothing but prospects. Well, they're all starting to come together, and that's why this is a fun year. We are so deep in the minors right now, guys. We are moving dudes up. We've got a guy, Braden Montgomery, who's one of the best prospects in all of baseball. We have outfield problems. He's an outfielder. We haven't brought him up yet. He's hitting like 380 in the minors, and we haven't brought him up yet because we brought this guy up instead. And this is, I wanted to mention him, and I'm sort of in the same way of Brian Torres, who we just watched of the Cardinals. Brian Torres spent 11 years in minor league, never got a shot, got brought up for the Cardinals, home run, first game, fantastic story. This next guy, this guy's name is, let me get it right because I don't even know yet. Let's just call him Riku. He's a Japanese baseball player. Now the Chicago White Sox have Mooney, who is, a god over in Japanese baseball. He's a 2-time MVP. He's the single-season home run king over there. He comes over to Major League Baseball. Nobody really expects much from him. He lights it up from the start. So right now, we're very Japan happy with our baseball players here in Chicago. Well, we had another Japanese player in our minor league system, and they decided to bring him up. I don't know if this has anything to do with a little buddy for Mooney or what, but hey, we're not asking any questions. Because this is history as well. Riku Nishida, I think that's how we're saying his name. He is the first player in history, Major League Baseball history, to be drafted by Major League Baseball directly from Japan. Born and raised in Japan, came to America on a baseball scholarship. I think he played at Stanford. Came to America on a baseball scholarship, and then, as everyone else before him has done, went back to Japan and was drafted into the Nippon League. This guy, first guy ever to come from Japan, be drafted into Major League Baseball, and then matriculate his way through the Major League Baseball system. Well, it's only been like 18 months or something, and this kid was a rocket ship from the very beginning. So they brought this first Japanese cultivated Major League Baseball draftee, and they elevated him to the major leagues yesterday. And you guys, this freaking kid had himself a game. Let me show you this kid. I made a post yesterday where I said, look, if your team doesn't have any Japanese ball players, you got to get some because these guys are the best. And I'm not talking about skills on the field. I'm talking about the way they carry themselves, the way their personalities, their charm. Look, you're upset about the Manny Machados or, these ball players who are always dark and angry and all that. Get yourself a Japanese superstar. These guys are fun as hell. Let me introduce you to Riku. He's the new Chicago White Sox right fielder. Holy shit. Check this out. Just look at the energy here. I'm not going to bore you with all of this. But again, this kid is living a dream. He is the first Japanese player to matriculate through the Major League Baseball minor league system and debut for a major league club. He had Oh, by the way, what did he have yesterday? He set the Chicago White Sox record for putouts as an outfielder. He had 7 putouts in the game yesterday with these diving catches and these wonderfully defensive adjustments that he made. He made a throw. He gunned a guy out at home plate from the right field corner with his Ichiro arm. He wears 51 because they call him Little Ichi. So he's kind of like an Ichiro type, slap hitter, incredible defense, set the White Sox record for putouts, was one from the all-time Major League Baseball record for putouts in a single game by an outfielder. He was all over the field. Anyway, check out this energy. This is just a good kid. And again, if your baseball team doesn't have a Japanese ball player, go get one.
Being the right fielder and having as many putouts and throwing somebody out the plate.
It was great, right? That was my first. No, that was second one, huh? Yeah. So, I don't know. なんて言います？こういう時。特に何もコメントないです。
I was too concentrated in the game, so I don't really have any comments towards that.
So your shoe fell off, you said?
Yeah, right after throw. You didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it.
見てません？見てません。見てません？
How'd that happen?
So wait, when did the shoe fall off and how did that
No, like right after I threw. And then my shoes came. Yeah.
Oh. Which shoe? Both of them?
No, left side. My left shoe. And I tried to find my shoes and when I look up, yeah.
He's just so happy to be just happy and don't have the athlete where the media is the enemy and anything. Mooney is like this too. It's like any media that wants to talk to him, he's going to smile and laugh. And if he does, it's just a completely different vibe from these players. Now, I would like to say that, I've seen this elsewhere. I haven't noticed it from Shohei. I don't know if Shohei's like that. He might be a special case, with him being the greatest baseball player in the history of baseball, which he is. So maybe it's a little different for him, the Michael Jordan of baseball. But these guys...
It was already out. No, first time. Yeah.
What has this day been like? The whole
That
game?
was bad prepare, huh? That was bad prepare. I needed more tight shoes, huh?
Oh, sorry, what did you say?
The whole game. The whole game?
What getting your first hit, the crowd really enjoying
go
you?
fast. It was really fast, yeah. So already what time? Right now? Already 4 p.m. It goes fast.
This kid doesn't even know where he is. He got flown in like 12 hours before. He was down in Charlotte, played the game the night before, and then they drop him in the starting lineup on Memorial Day, a 30,000 plus sellout. And this kid just has the debut game of his life. Now, we talked about congratulations on the hit. He did. He got his first Major League Baseball hit. And it shouldn't have been. It was an Ichiro hit. He poked it up the middle and then legged it out. He beat the throw. I mean, it's like, holy shit. It can't be lazy with this kid. Anyway, another really pleasant surprise in what has been a really fun baseball season. Here, let me see if... hold on, let me see if we... We're done, guys. The show's basically over. Now it's just me, just me hanging out doing nothing. Where is it? I want to show you that. Well, I want to at least show you that one video of him there. Oh, this is nice. They gave him this after the game. Yeah. There he is as he came off the field. I mean, seriously, one of the most wonderful debuts for a really special guy. Here we go. All right. Well, that's not going to work, so maybe we won't do that. I wanna find the putout. The putout was just incredible. Just a rifle of a throw. There he is. Look at him. He's wearing 51. He's wearing Ichiro's 51. Oh my God, we love it. I want to find the putout for you though, because what the hell? I should have signed off 20 minutes ago, but we're just hanging out, right? What do we got tonight? It's a short week, right? Doesn't it feel like Monday? It feels like Monday to me. I have no idea. Hold on, guys. Give me a second here. R-I-K-U-U. How the fuck? R-I-K-U-U. All right, so that's how you spell the damn name. Okay. Show me the put out. Yeah, all right, here we go. It's crazy. This kid's first game. Nobody thinks anything of him. Most people are like, oh, they just brought him up to be friends with Mooney. Seriously, that's how patronizing people were to this kid. And here you go. Second inning. Shows off the outfield skills.
Single through the hole in the right field. Nishida, he's going to come up throwing. They test his arm off the bat. And the slide around the tag, but Romo gets it in time. Riku Nishida, welcome to the show.
Look at him. Yeah, he's loving it. All right. Good times, guys. Baseball is fun. Baseball is fun when you don't have the weight of expectations. My team has no expectations. We're just having fun. We're just doing fun things. All right, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me today. We'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, I'm not talking about NBA or any hockey or whatever. I know that's going on. Good Lord. I've never in my life realized how long the NHL and NBA finals are. Or is the NHL over now? Did that end yesterday? I don't know. I got no idea. That the NBA finals hasn't even started yet, right? It's the Knicks and who? I don't know. I don't care. Spurs Thunder tonight. There you go. Peter's talking about Spurs Thunder tonight. What's the deal with that series? Where are they at? See, I'm not even paying attention. If the Bulls or the Mavericks are not involved, I am not watching NBA basketball. I also am starting to sort of see what a lot of people have been saying recently in recent years about this modern NBA. It sucks. This modern NBA is sucky. There's no defense being played. Everything's a three-point shot. Nobody's throwing elbows. Come on, man. I want it to be Eastern Conference basketball in 1997 again. Can we have that? I don't recognize this new game. The game of basketball, I can probably say the same thing for football too, because football has been certainly cleaned up, but I don't have the distaste for this new version of football in the same way that I have for this new version of NBA basketball. So whatever. There's a big game tonight. Adam, what is Adam saying? Adam says, it's fun. Can't wait to take my oldest tonight. Thought the Rangers, though the Rangers suck. Do they suck? I mean, here's the thing about baseball, and I don't know. I'm asking honestly because I haven't really been following the Rangers. I don't know what's going on there. In baseball, there are different kinds of suck. Like your team can suck, but you're not hopeless. Because you suck because there's a whole bunch of talent there that hasn't really emerged yet, but you're in the process of, sucking to get better. That's one kind of baseball suck. Then there's the kind of baseball suck that my White Sox went through the last 3 years, where you are intentionally sucking, where there is no hope for the future at the moment. I mean, the hope is like, in rookie ball, right? That's where the hope is. We've got like 15 guys in rookie ball that are going to save this team in 5 years. So you sit there and like we've done with the White Sox the last couple of years, we sit there and watch 35-year-old journeyman playing center field, hitting 220, and you're like, oh God, this is awful. And then one by one, good players start to come back. I'll give you an example. Earlier in this season, the first 6 weeks of this season, the White Sox sucked, but it was a good suck. It was a good suck because you're watching the game and you're going, oh, we lost this one by 1. Oh my God, we lost this one an extra inning. There is a good suck where you're like, okay, all right, that's better. And now I flat out think the White Sox are good. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're a World Series contender. They're a good team. I think they're a good team that can beat anybody, and they're getting better. And it's probably going to be another year or two process while all of our arms that are down. Look, if you believe the hype, we got like an Atlanta Braves like pitching lineup coming from the minors. If you believe the hype, but whatever. Like a year or two away from that. And if I'm being honest, half those guys are recovering from Tommy John. So we'll see. We'll see. Pitching. Oh my God. Poor Cubs. Poor Cubs are experiencing the whole pitching thing right now. They had great pitching, and then, the injuries, they come. Now they don't have great pitching. All right, I'm going to stop this. I'm sorry. Nobody cares. Let's see. Adam says it's funny. I'll talk with the chat room for a while. Says it's funny you say that because Bill Simmons and many others have said that we're in a golden era of basketball. We have the most talented players in the league ever. Yeah, well, I disagree with Bill Simmons. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a terrible era for basketball, especially compared to the hyper-competitive, very defense-oriented. I like defensive basketball. I like block shots. I like rim protection. I like a league where a guy has to be the level of Michael Jordan to be able to take the lane. Not everybody took the lane back then. Now it's take the lane, kick it out for three, and you're going to do 14 threes in a game. It's different. It's different, and to each their own. Adam also goes on to say, only reason we kept it together is our bullpen was lights out, talking about the Rangers. That has sunk, as has our starting pitching, so we've tanked. But again, I don't know, tanked without hope or tanked where... Because, again, you can be a team that's just a Midland team. You're not the worst team in the league. You can beat anybody on any given day. It's baseball. You play 162 times. But you're probably going to end up at 500 or maybe a game above or a game below. That's who you are. That's a terrible place to be, especially if you don't know if you're sucking on purpose or if you're sucking because management got it wrong. Management thought you'd be better, and so I don't know where the Rangers are. Like my White Sox, they're still not great. But they're not what they were a couple of years ago when it was like this team is sucking and they're sucking on purpose. They're not trying to win. They know that they can't. They're not spending any money. They've cut the payroll. The White Sox were always used as that team when some player, typically for the Dodgers or Yankees, would sign a contract and then they'd go, this guy makes more than the entire Chicago White Sox. Yeah, that felt good. There was like 3 years of that. We're like, oh, great. But got a bunch of guys making $75,000 a year out here. Well, that's obviously not there's a players union. They weren't making that little. But yeah, we had a team full of league minimum guys. We still have a team full of league minimum guys. We're not paying guys a whole bunch of money. Mooney didn't break the bank. Everybody thought Mooney was going to strike out every time. They thought he'd hit 30, 40 home runs, but lead the league in strikeouts. So nobody was willing to give Munetaka Murakami a big contract. So the White Sox got him on the cheap. And now look at him. He's leading the American League in home runs and in walks. Not striking out, experts. The experts said that he wouldn't take walks and that he'd strike out. They were wrong again. Experts are always wrong. Our GM isn't good, so not much hope. We've had prospects, and they didn't do very well here in the majors, and our farm system isn't great either. I'll tell you something that was great. Your bench coach was freaking awesome, because I'll tell you, next to Ben Johnson in this town, Will Venable, the manager of the White Sox, is probably the most highly praised manager in town. Cubs are trying to run Craig Counsell out of town. Meanwhile, everybody's talking about Will Venable going, isn't it amazing the culture he's created? Is that a Bochy thing? Is he just do it? I'm telling you, I don't know. I don't know much about Venable. I remember when he was with the Rangers and they won a World Series and he was the bench coach. I wasn't sold when they made him the manager of the White Sox, but I'll tell you, I love that dude now. I love that dude. Will Venable might be a legit Major League Baseball manager, which is nice because I don't think we've had that on the South Side in a number of years. Oh, yeah, they tried to force Tony La Russa on us. He was a legitimate manager 20, 30 years ago. Not when they gave them back to us. All right, that's it. We're going to end this show. I'm going to go watch baseball tonight. Of course, we got the Twins. When is the White Sox game? Yeah, I don't even know. It better be like a 6:40 game. When is the Chicago White Sox game tonight? 6:40. There we go. All right, 6:40. The dreaded and feared Minnesota Twins. We good, guys? We'll be back tomorrow at noon for more just, nonsense talk about all the day's hot topics and whatnot. All right, very good. Love you all. Don't forget, hey, if you're so inspired, you can drop a little something in the tip jar because that's how this show, quite literally, pays for gas. So, go ahead. Help us out if you want. In the meantime, keep good thoughts. Be cool. Don't be an asshole. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. Bye.